If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
Looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics, there's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
T. Madden & Associates is a sophisticated and experienced law firm located in your neighborhood. We're turning injury to cash.
T. Madden and Associates obtained almost $2 million for my injury. They turned my injury to cash.
Now, we can't guarantee how much your injury is worth, but we've recovered millions for our clients.
Call T. Madden & Associates at 833-PAID-123. That's 833-PAID-123.
Stride K-12 powered schools are ready to put over 20 years of being a leader in online education to work for you. Dive into curriculum design for the online classroom. Team up with state-certified teachers trained in virtual instruction. Take control of your child's education journey. Discover the power of personalized learning with a leader experienced in preparing kids for a future they can be excited about. Take charge. Stride K-12. Enroll now for the fall.
All right. Hello. Good evening. Welcome to another live edition of the BCSN SportsWrap. I'm Bryan Fulford, and joining me is not AD Drew, but it's my good friend, our good friend of the program, Jamie Walker. Jamie, good to see you. How you doing tonight?
Man, I'm doing great. How are you?
Man, I'm blessed. It's a good weekend. I made it through the first week of school, even though it was the first. It was abbreviated 3 days of school, and I made it. Now here comes the fun part. Monday.
I know it, man.
How was the start of school for you?
Man, we going into the third week now, man. So
Oh
it's
my goodness.
yeah,
Yeah,
man. It's
veteran,
already
man.
Yeah, we already catching on, man. You know, the kids are, almost acclimated to being back in school. So we're in a special place, man. But between this and coaching, man, it's been rough, man. I took a position where I'm actually a middle school football coach. I've been doing that, anyway. I've been on a varsity level, middle school level, just kind of going back, giving back, things of that nature. So took this position because it's close to the house. And it's one of those things that I miss coaching just a little bit, so I could do it on a scale where I could still do all the 900 jobs that I already have, and coach too, scratch the itch of coaching. So that's been a challenge so far. Yeah, stressful because when you go to a new place, man, people do things a little bit different. So as far as administratively, so just getting back into the groove of that, man. That's all.
Oh man, God bless you, man. I know that. Yeah, the first year coaching at a new place, whether you're in charge or not, it is different, and the less control you have, yeah, makes it even sometimes a little more stressful. So, hey man, just keep your head down, be positive, even in the places where that negativity rolls around. Just it will get better. It will get better.
Absolutely.
Man.
Hey man, but we talked about this in pre-show, man. I had to go get a massage yesterday, man. I had to go, just kind of chill out and get away for a while, man.
That's
not
stressful,
usually me.
huh? That's stressful.
Yeah, man. I had to go, be taken care of. So, that was a good thing, man. Typically, I reserve that to the wife and what I'm saying, relatives, things of that nature. But hey, had to get off my feet, just be away for about an hour. So, mentally anyway. So it was a good thing.
So now with the massage, is this the full body? Is this the upper body, the shoulders, the arms, the feet? I mean, what are you talking? 30 minutes, an hour, deep tissue? Break it down for the people, James.
Deep tissue back massage, man. I had a, bottom heavy. So legs. I don't let hardly anyone touch my feet. So, it looked like bad road. And I'm always on them. So, but otherwise, yes, man, deep tissue back massage. I feel good. I feel rejuvenated, but like you just said, Monday is coming. So, we'll see what happens.
Is that now this location, and obviously like they didn't pay us, so you don't have to say where it is, but is this the first time you've been to this location or you've been there before? Now
I've been to this particular person before, man.
Okay.
So yeah. She does great work. I'll even, send you as a reference, man. Yeah, we'll talk about that off air.
Oh, hey, there you go. All right. Hey, I want to give a quick shout out to a few people. Tamra T jumping in. Hey, yes, obviously AD is not with us today, but obviously Tamra T, first one in the building. Shout out to you. Obviously, appreciate you jumping in. Chuck Hunt coming in on Facebook early, checking in from Monroe, Louisiana. Good to see you, Chuck. Mary 305 jumping in. Good to see you, Mary. Jeremiah Clark jumps in. Good to see you. Mary says school starts in Miami so y'all got a whole nother week in Miami for school. So Orange and Seminole County in the Orlando area started this past Thursday. I started Wednesday. I'm in a private school. So yeah, Miami, huh? All next week. Wow. Man, good. Hey man, enjoy that time and get ready for them children, as they say. Walter Harley, good to see you checking in. The Livingston College Blue Bears. Walter, we're going to be talking over-unders in the second hour of the show. I'd love for you to set a line for us. This week is Division I. Next week, we'll get into the weeds and try to do Division II. But Walter, when we get to that segment, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Give us an over-under. What should the expected win total for the Livingston College Blue Bears be? ODB, give us a shout out. Aggie Pride.
Yeah. That's right. Aggie Pride.
Yeah, exactly. I want to thank everybody for jumping in on Facebook and on YouTube, however you're watching us, maybe even on Twitter. We still call it Twitter, Jamie. I don't know how long we'll call it Twitter. I still type in twitter.com and that's what comes up. So I guess for that period of time, we'll still call it Twitter.
Hey, in the famous words of Eddie Murphy and Mighty Shop, his mama call him Clay. I'm gonna call him Clay. So they call it Twitter. I'm gonna call it Twitter. I start on Twitter, but keep calling it Twitter.
Right. Make sure you're following us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at MyBCSN1, the number 1. You can also download the Jericho Broadcast Networks app on the Google Play and Apple App Store. MyJBN, MyBCSN. We are a part of the Jericho Broadcast Networks and the Black College Sports Network. And something new that we just rolled out and debuted are JBN memberships for those on YouTube. 3 different levels of support that you can support our network. And here's what we're going to try to do. No, I say try, Jamie, but we are going to do. Especially we're going to have some exclusive content that we're going to drop for just the members, especially when it gets into the football season. You're going to want to be a part of this because you're going to want to be a part of these post-game shows. We're going to get a chance to really open up and talk post-game every Saturday night and afternoon with post-game shows featuring all of our hosts, our guests. Some folks will be out covering games as we have various games that we will cover. And probably next week we'll release that Black College Sports Network schedule. I think that'll be on next week's show. And we'll kind of tell you where we'll be this year. But looking forward to doing the post-game shows and maybe even some other features, some first watch opportunities, and even what I'd like to say, some discounts on merchandise. Jamie, we're going to try dropping out some merch, maybe even some polos like, oh, wait, wrong chest. Even some polos like this, maybe some T-shirts and other things like that. But more importantly, we just want to thank everyone for the support. 25 years is a long time to be doing something. And, we come a long way, and this is a grind, and we're still not where we want to be. And so that's why we created this membership with the hopes that those of you who watch us on the regular, that you'll jump in the pool with us, man. Come on in and take a swim with us. And we appreciate your support in any way. So right there on YouTube, any of you folks on YouTube watching, or the folks maybe you're watching on another platform, when you find some time, bump over to YouTube and join the JBN membership. All right, so coming up at the bottom of the hour, here's what the show looks like. Rochelle is going to be joining us. She's one of the co-hosts of HBCU Nightly, and also a new podcast that'll be coming out soon called X's and O's with Joshua Sims and our guy, BJ. So, that'll be an interesting podcast. So we'll get a chance to talk with her. She's a Howard grad. Not gonna hold that against her, but that's just a part of what we want to get into talking with her about, and we will share a little of that news and what she's working on. And then in hour number 2, over-unders, Jamie. For those of us who partake in the fine arts of recreational gambling, those people who do that, win totals, conference win totals is something that is put out by a lot of the books, sports books. And, every major conference has them. Rarely do we see them at our level, Jamie. And I think a lot of times it's because there's a lack of knowledge, lack of information. And I think some things have come out, and we'll talk about this when you look at some of the predictive analytics regarding what people think teams will do this season. It'll surprise you, and it surprised me. And so when we go through these Division I teams, the 21 of them, there will be some numbers that many of you will say, what? No way. Yeah, way. That's what the computers say. So it's it'll be interesting. But let's get into some of the news from the past week, Jamie. And we got to start with the heat. As Chuck Hunt already jumps in and says, yeah, Chuck, the temperatures in Monroe have been 104 degrees. What's it been like in the A, Jamie?
Man, listen, I'm already preparing to practice indoors tomorrow.
Okay.
It was it was crazy here today. I don't ever recall seeing a heat warning pop up on the phone, like a severe thunderstorm warning or anything of that nature. But it sure did, and so I just had to kind of analyze like how long that's supposed to be lasting. And it literally is 3 days this week. This is happening. So yeah, it's been blazing. Was out and about, earlier today, and out with the wife. We were running around, but it was hot, and it was hot, considerably hot this morning. Even at 10 o'clock in the morning, it was pretty hot out there. So, if you didn't do anything before 11 a.m., best bet is you needed to stay in the house. So, yeah, it's been crazy.
Yeah, Dimitri Alford checks in. Tallahassee with a heat index been around 110 to 112 all week. Obviously, I'm in Orlando. I can tell you, going outside from one building to the next, there is like no cool air out there. It is just, it really is suffocating. I watch our football guys out there working, and some guys were complaining in class that the field smelled like fish. I don't know why the field smelled like fish, but let's just say that's not a good sign. No, it's not. And so, but the heat index has been really, really humid all across the country. And so one of the top stories that hit the wires earlier this week was the situation going on at Albany State University. On Wednesday, and I'm reading right here from the HBCU Game Day Wire, Wednesday, August 9th, 6 players from Albany State University Golden Rams football team experienced fatigue-related symptoms during practice. The student athletes were immediately transported to Phoebe Putney Memorial Hospital for treatment and are recovering. I went to take a look at first off, when you hear 6, when you hear 6, that's a high number, right? What instant thoughts come through your head, Jamie? And do you recall hearing of that many guys in one particular setting?
No, not in one practice. I think you're dealing with guys and without knowing who they are, when you're dealing with different positions, different sizes, different people in general, you could kind of get a sense of what was going on, maybe position group, things of that nature. But it's been hot. Albany is a hot part of the state. When you're talking about even Tallahassee and, you bring up towns, you're talking about South Georgia. And it is heated, but also this is a different coaching staff than has been there before. And I'm sure, even though it is a heat wave, I think there may be some things going on that they're not accustomed to workout wise. You're talking about, going from Coach Gabe Gardena to Coach Quinn Gray. And so when you're talking about, maybe their style of coaching when it comes to conditioning, it may be different. It's something they have to get accustomed to. But this is what every football team kind of deals with, the acclimation of conditioning the body from going from not playing into heat. And it's difficult to do because the only way to get accustomed to it is actually be in it. And so, of course, you have to monitor, what goes on with the body, dehydration levels, things of that nature. I'm going to also throw something out there as well. In the COVID era, and depending on what happened with the bodies in the last few years, you never know what things we have to get accustomed to in relation to athletics anymore, because we are seeing now the possibility of different things going on, not necessarily with treatment of COVID, but just having the virus in general and how that's impacting athletics. So I'm not sure if that, in particular applies to this situation, but we are learning some things when it comes to athletics in general. And just 6 people at the same practice, that's a lot. But not surprising as well. It's been hot, and hopefully it is just related to the heat. But we've also, on a Division I level, had a player, pass away. Now, the coach said it wasn't football related.
Where was that at again?
I think Liberty.
Oh,
James,
yes. I remember hearing about that. Yeah.
So, we don't have many details when it comes to that. They just, talked about a football player passing away. But we're finding out things, and we're getting more information on what our athletes are at this point. Because you're talking about the likes of Bronny James, for example, and his situation in a workout. We got to monitor things a little different than we used to. I even, heard somebody talk about bring back historically the Junction Boys back in the 50s, and talking about Texas A&M and those that saw the documentary knows you can. There's no way you could do that to today's.
No, that'll never happen.
You be in jail.
Yes.
I don't care if you're Bear Bryan or not, but it's just one of those things where I'm sure that staff and the school and trainers and things of that nature will monitor that situation closely. But you just have to look out for players and look out for player safety, because it is paramount, regardless of how much football we want to look at.
I did go back and look at the heat, the weather in Albany that week. Now, what's interesting, and look, I'm no doctor. I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn yesterday or any day this week. So I'm just pointing out, when you go, my first thought is, hey, go look at what was the weather like. Well, okay, on Monday in Albany, they probably had their high of the week, which was 95 degrees at noon. I don't know. Now, first off, I don't know what time Albany State practices. Okay, let me preface that, and I don't know if you do either. But let's just, maybe they're practicing at some time in the morning or in the afternoon. I know there's some schools that practice very early before the sun, or as the sun is coming up, right? So 95 was the high on Monday. Tuesday, 93. That's that same time, about noon. Wednesday, on the day when all this happened, when these 6 players actually were hospitalized, it was 90 degrees. That was the high at noon. And just kind of looking at the humidity at 62% around that time, very little wind, it looks like. I don't know what all that means, Jamie, but and then it crept up to 91 on Thursday, dropped to 82 on Friday. So could be a chain reaction from earlier in the week. But yeah, that kind of news makes you really examine everything that you're doing. I heard a good discussion on the Carlos Brown show from Saturday. If you guys didn't get a chance to check that out, it's available on podcast form, BCSN Pod Zone, or you could right here on this YouTube channel. You can find it as well. You can even go check out the Carlos Brown show on Facebook. But and there's a perspective where you got former administrators, former coaches, and they talk about, how you get prepared. And Quinn Gray is from Florida. He's coached in Florida. So it's not like he's doesn't know how to prepare a team in hot weather. But yeah, when you have 6, it does make you question all your pre-checks. And so I'm sure that sent alarms throughout the entire SIAC, as everybody is kind of doing a check and saying, okay, are we good? I mean, what are our guys doing? What are we doing? What does our medical staff need? Things of that nature, because the last thing you want to do is have a guy, as you mentioned, sadly, like what happened over at Liberty University, and that's a school that has, you've seen, they've got facilities out the wing. I mean, their facilities, what they're building over at Liberty is ridiculous. So, hey, regardless of income and what your school produces, this kind of thing can hit you because you're dealing with humans and people. Yeah. So, yeah. Now, there's a great question here by Demetra. Yeah, I don't know if that includes the heat index. So you know what? That's a great question, Demetra. I was looking for that. It did not say what the heat index was earlier that week. So yeah, that's something. It's something, Jamie, when you talk about what's happening out there. So let's kind of move forward with some other news. Some news regarding your Aggies. The North Carolina got some North Carolina A&T Aggie news. We'll start with some football related news first, as it looks like the University of North Carolina and North Carolina A&T agreed to play some future football contests. Steve Gaither dropped this on HBCU Game Day just last week. It looks like the Aggies are going to get about $430K to travel a few counties over to take on the North Carolina Tar Heels. That game will be in 2028. So yeah, about a good 5 years from now. Who knows what'll be, who knows what life will look like in that period of time. But it says, however, there is a clause that agrees. So despite the game being set on that date, there is a clause that agrees to move the game to week 0 of that season, which would be August 26th of that year. So that opportunity is there. Week 0 move is dependent on television, as current NCAA bylaws state that FCS programs can only play those games if televised nationally. Of course, FAMU played a week 0 game last year on TV at North Carolina. So that was the opportunity. And they have to decide that a year before. Jamie, what are your thoughts on your Aggies taking? Is there anybody from the state of North Carolina that you wish your Aggies would play that they haven't played?
Oh, haven't. Wow. Great question. Because I think we've pretty much gotten around to everyone. In fact, in that same story, or I think in another one, in the next 3 or 4 years, they're making the rounds in the state, which I think I was going to kind of, state the obvious for me is, hey, you get on a bus and go make $430,000. Because literally you're talking about an hour and a half down the road.
Right.
So I think, hey, it's a no-brainer, especially if you're going to play those Power 5 teams. You're talking about not costing a lot as far as expenses are concerned. Go ahead. And I think, knowing, head coach Vincent Brown, he wants to take on all comers, regardless of what it is, because he wants to build a program in that way. So I think, playing an in-state foe, someone that's highly regarded in state, they have a good football team. FAMU played them close last year. Well, let me rephrase that. They played them well last year, especially in the beginning. I think it's a no-brainer, especially if you have that offer. You're right there. Hey, go ahead and put that money in your pockets and keep building that war chest. But yeah, I think it's just fine.
Have you guys played Wake Forest?
I do not remember playing Wake Forest. I actually think we're coming up. Yeah, I think that Wake Forest matchup is actually coming up. That's right down the road as well, in Winston-Salem. So I think that would be a good matchup. I actually think that matchup is coming up. I know you're talking about playing state as well, North Carolina State. So I think if you're playing opponents right there around the area, the check is good enough and you have the want to play that competition. Hey, why not? Why not? And you see, what they're doing as far as the clauses are concerned, that being able to move up to week 0 and being on national TV. So it's kind of, especially with them being in the Coastal Athletic Association now that they made the name change, of course, you're one of the, within the top 3 conferences in FCS. So it's kind of like, why not?
And also think about it from the other side, the ACC.
Yeah.
I mean, how big is that? Look, who knows what that conference could be looking like? I mean, they could move to a 9-game schedule. Heck, they could even move, who knows, to a 10-game. I'm just, who knows what that schedule and what that conference could look like in 5 years. So having that game potentially in week 0 makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Makes perfect sense because you have the eyes of America. I'm just thinking about everything that's occurred within the last couple of weeks in relation, not even just the college football and talking about realignment and how people have been chomping at the bit. You're just talking about some kind of college football news. Okay, so Wake 20. Yeah, I knew it was coming up. So they're making the rounds, playing different opponents within the state. A&T has beaten the likes of East Carolina before. That's the famous, Sam Washington get my money game.
Yes.
It's A&T's never backed down from a challenge. So it's one of those things that, hey, go ahead and play that FBS talent. Why not? Why not? And it's in state, right up the street. Get on a bus, go, handle your business.
Make that
get
money.
a check.
Make that money. Exactly.
Get it all. But it's just some different things going on. But I like the moves.
One other Aggie football related note. This I saw from HBCU Legends, and Mason Smith brought this up that that your former defensive line coach, I think it's Terrell Williams, who was a D-line coach from, I believe, 99 to 2001. He's actually one of the assistant coaches with the Tennessee Titans. Well, Mike Vrabel gave him the duties of head coach on Saturday. And so Williams is 49. He's had a 20-year career in football, spanning from college to the NFL. And so he led that team. How'd that game go? I wasn't paying attention to who. I know it was a lot of points scored.
Yeah, it was. I'm not sure if they lost that game, and I don't know what the final score was, but it was a lot of points when I did tune in. But I would just go ahead to say this, man. There are some NFL coaches that get it. To me, if one of the problems is that there's not enough minority representation at the head coaching level in the NFL, then as much as I'm trying to phrase this correctly, because we don't want, just anything thrown at us just to say we're trying. But I do think there are coaches within those ranks that get it, such as a Kyle Shanahan, who in the past, you looked at his staff, you're talking about, people off his staff getting head coaching jobs within the last few years, like a Robert Saleh, who's of Lebanese descent, who's of D'Amico Ryans, who's down for the Texans now, who's gotten a head coaching job. People on that staff, a Dan Campbell in Detroit, who is working for a general manager that's an Aggie as well. Look at his staff up and down. You're talking about black coordinators who, again, I think is really the catalyst to becoming head coaches is to get those coordinator spots to prove, I won't say prove your worth, but just more so of anything, just getting in the room. And so when you have those kinds of practices where there's some attention brought to the problem and trying to find ways to solve the problem or increase black coaches within those ranks, I like what Mike Vrabel did, and I appreciate just the effort in general, regardless of what people may think of it or may think it's just a symbolism move or just being symbolic. Hey, you're trying, and that's all I can ask for.
Well said. Well, coming up after this short break, our first guest, Miss Erica Rochelle, will join us, and we look forward to talking with her right on the other side. So let's go ahead and take a quick break, come back with Erica, and find out a little bit about what is South by Southwest and how HBCUs can find their way into this wonderful conference that happens every year in Austin, Texas. You're watching the BCSN SportsWrap right here on the Black College Sports Network.
I have in me the ability to make you a better you. So if you work hard, focus, Stay on point. You can do anything. Trust me.
We made this track to tell everybody they can follow their dreams.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KeaversVoice.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
When we invest in ourselves, our glow, our vision, our vibe, we all shine. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
Remember the revival? Relive the remix. Reunite for the Orange Blossom Classic. HBCU Reunion Experience. It's year 3, baby, and we back with that fire. Calling all HBCU fans. Labor Day weekend. The I Love Jackson State University takes on the venomous Florida A&M University. Tickets are on sale now. Watch the game in premium style seating or watch it from a luxury suite. And of course, you know the halftime show is going to be epic right here in the 305. The sonic boom of the South and the illustrious Marching 100. Who you rocking with? The 2023 Orange Blossom Classic. Don't miss the HBCU Reunion Experience. Labor Day weekend, Miami Gardens, Florida, Hard Rock Stadium. Trust me, we'll see you there. Oh. Check out OrangeBlossomClassic.com for tickets and info.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN SportsWrap. Bryan and Jamie here. And it's a pleasure to be joined by Miss Erica Rochelle. Erica, how you doing? We got you on. There we go. How you doing this afternoon? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely good to see you again. Haven't seen you since Celebration Bowl.
That was fun. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So what's the latest and greatest? What's happening with of course, for those who don't know, let me give a proper introduction here. Is Erica, of course, is the co-host of HBCU Nightly, which you can I think every Wednesday night, might even be more than Wednesday, but every Wednesday evening on Twitter Spaces, you can find HBCU Nightly. For those of you who aren't familiar with what Twitter Spaces is, it's like honestly, it feels like a radio show on the internet. That's the best description I can give.
That's a great description.
Great. Yeah. It feels like a radio show. I love radio shows. So radio show on the internet, on Twitter. So you have to get on. Actually, now they have it accessible on the mobile app or the web. However you get on X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it, but just jump in. Great discussion by a great team of people that you, Joshua Sims, and I mean anybody who's anybody is in there.
All the people.
Yeah, we do a show on Wednesday night, so I end up coming in late and catching the last hour or the evening editions. But good stuff, and then also new podcast that Erica will be a part of, along with BJ Jones and Joshua, X's and O's.
That premieres. That's at the start of the season, so we have a couple weeks before we get that underway. But as Bryan said, co-host of HBCU Nightly. It's so much fun. Josh is the host and the curator, and every week Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern, we just talk ball, and it's a lot of fun. We have MEAC and SWAC represented. Josh went to Central, I went to Howard, and we just have a lot of fun. Also, I do separate shows just for those who are Howard athletics enthusiasts. We've had a couple good years in a lot of different sports.
Yes.
So it's been really exciting for basketball, for all the Olympic sports. Football's coming along. We are very high on our football team this year. So I think it's going to be very interesting.
Oh yeah. Your head coach made some interesting comments. I think was it prior to media day? What was his comments about wanting to have a championship, or what exactly were the comments that made headlines, that got people excited?
It was definitely well before media day, but I think the blog that interviewed him waited a bit to like really put it out, which was smart. He said that there should have been a championship game. Central won the head-to-head, but we both ended the conference 4-1. And as me and Josh argue about all of the time, the team Central struggled quite mightily with, we did not struggle at all. So, save for a really awful. You said what?
Shots fired.
So, save for a really poor, first quarter, I think that game could have been a little closer. So I think I would have liked to have seen a second matchup between our two teams. Trey Oliver took a different approach, a little shadier of an approach, but that's all right. We heard it. And
Jamie, you're shaking your head. You're shaking your head. You agree that Trey's response was a bit low?
No, he didn't throw. He didn't throw shade. He threw the entire tree. He did. It was, he did. Basically saying, why in the world do we want to play again? He talked about the score in the game. So, saying he didn't need it. So this is going to be an interesting year in that game. I want to be there. I really, really do.
Please come. Josh will be sitting with me. I already have season tickets with my dad. We've had season tickets since 1992. It's our special thing we do together. And so, I thought for a team that's the Black College national champs and, undisputed, it felt like a lot of preoccupation with our rings and our co-championship. But who am I?
I love it. I love it. I love it.
We'll see in November. It'll be great.
The MEAC, what I love about, I think it's refreshing, especially with you and Josh being MEAC people, in the space that you have and the great audience that you have, bringing light to the MEAC in a way that, because I think, and I don't know, and Jamie, you're kind of also in a situation where you kind of get a chance to kind of hear the noise. I maybe because my FAMU Rattlers are in the SWAC now, and that there just feels like the SWAC steps in the room and kind of takes the air out. But they're really, what you say?
All the time.
But, and I don't know whether that is because, now it's larger. The SWAC went from 10 to 12, and who is a part of the 12 now, or it's just the flow of college football, or the fact that A&T is no longer in the MEAC. You know what I'm saying? It could be all of these factors, so it's refreshing, I think, to be able to have like, hey, I can take my eyes off the SWAC, and there are so many interesting storylines and just so many different interesting things with the MEAC that we can talk about. I mean, the fact that you have a non-conference season, which is really bigger than the conference season, and really when we get down to the end of the year and we start looking at everybody's record at the end of the season, it's what the MEAC teams do in their non-conference probably that's going to shape people's opinions about them.
Absolutely, yes. Because we start the MEAC season very late. I think our first MEAC game is homecoming for Howard. That's Norfolk State, October 21st, right? The SWAC is well into the SWAC season by October 21st, right? So I think for Howard, we lost to Hampton. Unfortunately, that's awful every season. Oh God, we lost to Hampton. Although we came back mightily at the end. That Yale game should have been a victory. The Alabama State game should have been better than what it was. We all remember, the rain delays and all that kind of stuff. Like that wasn't great for us. So, by the time we get to MEAC play, we're already 1 and whatever, and everybody thinks we're trash. And then we run through the MEAC, and now it's like Howard has something to say. But I also think the MEAC is really just like a knockdown, drag out conference. But I don't think we highlight ourselves and our stories as well as the SWAC does. But I think we low key have a more successful football product than the SWAC head to head. So
can't argue it right now.
We don't necessarily go into the space as talking big. And I think the SWAC, they have these rivalries that are really interesting, with the MEAC kind of condensing. Some of our natural rivals have kind of like, we still play them, but they're not for like MEAC things, right? So the dynamic has changed, but I think the quality of the football hasn't. And so I just think we have a very different culture. And I think something we can learn from the SWAC a bit is really how to highlight ourselves a little bit more, not like take the air out of the room type of thing, but we have something to offer that's really great too.
True that. Jamie, feel free to jump in anytime, but since Erica already brought it up, I got to ask you about the Howard Hampton thing. When do you think that you guys will earn that H back in that series? I'm just kind of, I have to ask the question.
We ran a string of like 5 victories over them, like from like 2012 to 17 or 11 to 16, something like that. There was one graduating class that did not beat Howard University from Hampton Institute. I tell you that right now. Okay. So, this year I think will be the year that we, push it over the top. I have particular feelings that they don't come to Green Stadium to play. I know we're playing them at Audi Field. They have not been to Green since like 2016, 2017.
Really?
Okay.
Indeed.
Okay.
I have, just like the basketball team, Hampton Institute's basketball team has not been to the Burr since like 2018, 2019. That's a problem. But they're coming in November. So I'm very excited. We always go to Hampton. They never come to us. And I want home.
That sounds like some Hampton-ish. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You Hampton folks out there, I'm sorry. I got family who went to Hampton, so I feel like I can say that. But go ahead.
I mean, we have 3 generations of Howardites in my family, and my brother went to Hampton Institute.
Wow,
so it's a very personal thing for us. And a lot of my best friends, I'm from Richmond, Virginia. A lot of my best friends.
Okay.
So, I take the beef real personal.
Okay.
Yes, you do. And I'm glad to actually have a conversation. Listen, you are one of the funniest follows on Twitter ever. Because you don't just talk about sports or just football or just basketball. You talk about tennis. You talk about love life. You talk about people saying certain things and what you're supposed to say back. I mean, you got to follow. You just got to follow. But you also have smoke for everyone, including my Aggies, when it comes to talking about the MEAC conference. Where does that chip come from in defending that conference?
Howard was one of the founders of the MEAC. I think that's very special. I think that's part of the reason why we still are in the MEAC. I think there was also, people can say what they want about Howard. I know there's lots of potent feelings about my institution, but I feel like even though maybe over the last 2 decades or 3 decades, we haven't been great at all the sports or any of the sports, I still think Howard holds a leadership role, as a pivotal leadership role in the MEAC, and making sure that our sister institutions are good as well. So whereas we could have left, we did not. And there's many reasons why a conference would be happy to have Howard University in it. But we did not leave the conference. We did not leave our sister institutions proverbially like out to dry. And I thought that was very special. And I think we can make the MEAC work. You know, I think some better media deals, maybe add a school or two, Virginia State, hint, hint. You know, so I think there's growth space. Like, you can't argue that the athletic product isn't like, you know, subpar, because it's not. I think that some institutions like A&T took an opportunity as it was presented, and they went with it. You know, they had a string of good years. Why not run after that opportunity? I remember the bad A&T years, and nobody ever wants to really talk about. But those Celebration Bowl wins boosted them to another level. And so that's their prerogative to leave, but it's hard to, you know, balance that with their continued interest in what's going on in family business. So I think with Hampton, I think their reason for leaving was different, and that always will bother me.
Yeah.
You know,
They've been
I
very
remember
vocal
the
about
Hampton.
that.
You said what?
No, they've been very vocal about why they left, and what their goal was. I mean, if I recall, their president was very upfront about where he wanted Hampton to be, and so just kind of watching them move through conferences to get there, you're kind of like, yeah, well, we not good enough.
He always wanted to be in the Colonial. If you're from Virginia, you know what this is, right? Like that 64 corridor of schools, he wanted to be a part of that club, in my opinion. That's his prerogative. But like, he'll never say that. But don't say like you want to be around, you know, a certain caliber of academic institutions. Don't use that, because Howard University is in the conference, and they're ranked higher than most of the academic institutions in the Coastal Athletic Association. So don't say that.
Preach.
So to me, like, I can't abide by that. Now, I have lots of friends and, you know, sorors and all the things who are Hamptonians, and they'll say like, you know, we wish we still were, but they're never going to speak out against what their leaderships did. So that's what it is. But I would have rather them say they wanted, you know, a different set of academic or athletic competition, because the Hampton of old was for real serious, right? Like they used to get D1 transfers from Virginia Tech, UVA, all the rest, right? We used to go down to Hampton, and their guys would be 3 times the size of ours. It's like, we're not getting out of here, right? You know, but that dynamic changed when ODU and Christopher Newport got football teams, and those, you know, 757 guys went there, and you see the product that came from Hampton's football program start to downward trend after that.
Excellent point. Excellent point. Do you think the new leadership at Howard will continue that belief in the MEAC?
I hope so. I mean, today's really his first day I've even seen him on.
Saw you mentioned it.
Yeah. Like I was like, oh, Frederick's really gone. You know, none of us know yet. And also, you know, I'm an alumni chapter president. So I'm very interested in like engaging with him on a lot of different topics, but sports is prime among them for me. And I want to see us continue to pour resources into the athletic program. We know we have our 10 and 15 and 20 year plan, which includes a new athletic complex. I'd like to see that come to fruition. And I think we have a university that deserves a athletic complex that matches like what we do academically. And so I hope that he's very supportive. I've heard that he is, but I plan to ask those questions.
Is that possible as far as, and I'm sorry, Bryan.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I love it. Yeah.
Because Howard is fascinating. It is fascinating in that, based on its location, the facilities are always talked about. when it comes to building, especially when you talk about endowment, which it goes where it wants to go to based on the school. But building in those facilities, such as track, such as football, do you think that's possible? And do you think just the administration wants to take money and invest it into the facilities there?
I think there's going to be, excuse me, a capital campaign for athletics. I see it coming. Knowing what I know just from being an alumni club president, like it's high on the list. We have several buildings being built right now on campus. If you go to campus right now, it's construction everywhere. So everybody always wants to talk about our buildings and how old they look. Like they're like national historic sites, folks. So, a lot of them have been gutted and redone. But the athletic complex is next after this new set of buildings on campus finishes construction. And I think they have a couple of options of where they could put it. I won't get into too many details, but there are options there. And I think they've given themselves enough time to kind of negotiate with the city and also to look at our like very massive real estate portfolio and see like what works best. If you remember where the Howard Hospital currently is where Griffith Stadium used to be, where the old, Negro League team played. So it's been, in my opinion, I would love to see an athletic facility go there. Makes sense since we are knocking down that hospital, but and building a new one. But we'll see what they decide to do. I'm not sure. And also, someone in the comments said FAMU betrayal. I don't feel like FAM and Bethune was a betrayal leaving the MEAC. I get y'all did not want to come to Dover or Baltimore. I understand it. It's not a betrayal. I get it.
Okay. I was going to ask that question. I know you saw that. I didn't know if you saw it, but yeah, it is interesting. The comments. So before we get into talking about more about the football, because I'm going to ask you about the football season. What do you, since we're talking about the MEAC here, where do you project, or what do you think the MEAC looks like? And I don't want to go too far because conference churning, something could change in a heartbeat. But let's just say over the next 2 to 3 years, before we even think about 5, let's look at 2 to 3 years. Are we still holding that? Is the MEAC still at 6? And if not, who are potential suitors? I mean, you mentioned one that I think is very obvious and could. I don't know when they will, but I think with the leadership at that university in Virginia, I think they could.
Remember, Virginia State's president is a Howard alumnus.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
And yes. And so yes, there is an opportunity there. And so, but who would you project as an institution or a school that could be somebody on the radar?
So, to me, Bowie State and Virginia State are natural fits. I don't think Bowie State has the facilities just yet. Virginia State does. I think the problem with poaching from the CIAA, because that's what it would be, right? And that's from whence we all came. That is a culture of itself. Like you see a smattering of CIAA culture in the MEAC because we still, that's what we were. But like their chancellors are all on one page about how things are supposed to go. They love the rivalries amongst them. North Carolina, Virginia, a couple Maryland schools, a little bit of Pennsylvania, like they got it. Taking somebody from them, it's going to be hard. Like, why would they want to give up a good thing? They have the revenue sharing from the CIAA basketball tournament, which is here in Baltimore. They enjoy their rivalries. Like the value add to the institution has to be infinitely above what they're already getting to make that jump worthwhile. And I've heard some talks about maybe a Clark or a Georgia school. This is things that have been thrown around, right? So you could attempt to maybe do a north-south thing that we tried to do back in 2008 to 2012. That didn't work.
Close. That was so close. You imagine if someone ever would do a what if series, what if that actually came? What if Winston-Salem State would have held
held on. And
they
Savannah
held on if they would have done it.
And it was fun. I think people forget, like the MEAC now is, 8 schools, 6 for football, but people forget how fun the MEAC was in those like 95 to 2012 time period. Like it was a lot of fun. The matchups were fun. They were heated. Like we had rivalries. And so like it's a little sad to see like that we don't play FAM every year anymore, or Bethune, or A&T, and not having all those visiting bands come to DC and us go down, right? But it was a lot of fun. I'm sad it didn't work. I'm sad it didn't work. They really did try though.
Yeah. For the upcoming year, just kind of looking at Howard's schedule here. Howard opens the season at Eastern Michigan, and then I think has some real interesting contests.
I think we can head into Harvard like 4-1, 3-2, or maybe 2-2, 3-1, something like that.
Well, okay, so that's interesting that you say that, because, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later. We'll talk about the analytics and what the numbers seem to project, but they do project wins over Morehouse. Actually, a win over Hampton.
Should have won it last year.
Traveling on the road and winning at Robert Morris.
Indeed.
Now, what's interesting, the week before Harvard is the Northwestern game.
Yeah.
I mean, look, let's not kid ourselves. I mean, with everything going on at Northwestern, I know it seems, hey, look, we can go, hey, that's a Big Ten school, but is Northwestern really going to be one of the power Big Ten programs this year? I don't think so.
They held their own last year, but it's in disarray now. So I don't know what the transfer portal looks like there. I don't know who's stayed, who's left, who's suing. Like,
it's definitely in disarray.
Right.
So they can be got. This is the same Howard program that went to UNLV.
Yes.
That win. So
yes, it is. So Eastern Michigan, watch out. Northwestern, watch out. So realistically, yeah, there's an opportunity there to go into that Harvard game with 3 to 4 wins. What does that Harvard matchup mean? I mean, we've jokingly talked about it on this school. It's a matchup, obviously, the Ivy League school versus the Black Ivy school, if people want to call it that. But I mean, 2 elite colleges, universities in the Northeast. And what does that mean for you as a Howard grad? What does that match up against Harvard? Obviously, you played Yale last year, but what is it this year's Harvard?
Well, the first time we played Harvard was when Ron Prince was coach. And that Ron Prince era, if you remember, we had Kalen Newton as quarterback after those Mike London seasons where we beat UNLV, right? And we went to Chicago and played at Hampton. I was there, and I could tell something was wrong. And it quickly materialized when we got to Harvard, and we saw like everything was in utter disarray. And it didn't make sense to us because we had just come off of a 7-4 season the year before, beating UNLV and Kalen Newton and a bunch of starters who ended up transferring to other schools. And I think one of our guys went to University of Houston and a couple others and did some big stuff. It didn't make sense. Like, why are we playing like this after last season? Like we thought we were out of the dark era. And all of a sudden we were plunged back into a depth that we hadn't anticipated. And so that Harvard game was the first one where we said something's not right. And so it got really ugly very, very fast. And then last year, we had a couple of injured guys for the Truth and Service Classic, and we weren't really able to hang with them last year. So, I think this year, I'm hoping that it might not be a victory. I don't count it as a W in my projection, but I'm hoping that the outings is a little better than the last 2 times we played them. But it's also just a very special time. The Harvard-Howard matchup has become a really cool thing, even in Boston. Alumni from all HBCUs and Black alumni from all the Ivy Leagues attend. Like it's like a larger than life thing. I'll be there this year again. I really enjoyed it the last time I was there. But I really do want us to put a better product on the field against them, particularly whether we win or lose. But the last 2 outings haven't been great.
And the Ivy, Jamie, if you even if you look at the perception of the Ivies, they are considered their conference in the FCS world. Now, for those who don't know, the Ivy Leagues don't play in the postseason. So they don't play in the NCAA postseason, but they are ranked and regarded as a top 10, actually, might even be top 8, top 7, sitting at number 7 conference. And in large part, I mean, it's due to Harvard.
Correct.
But this is a great opportunity. We talk about I'm big on seeing our HBCUs go into these spaces, like going into Harvard and winning. Like I was rooting for y'all to beat Yale. Because those are those matchups.
We should have won.
Look, hey, those are those opportunities against these established FCS conferences that everybody continues to say are better, and really it's based on team production. I mean, let's just keep it real. We gotta win those games. We want our teams to win those games, and when they actually do win those games, it's going to change the narrative and the perception. But right now, until that happens on a more consistent basis, we're going to see only 2 teams preseason ranked in the top 25. A team that could have maybe arguably one of the best quarterbacks in FCS be kind of looked over. I mean, hell, that's just how it's going to be in the FCS until
we win.
Yeah.
We have to win them. We have to win.
Absolutely. And I actually think Central's non-conference schedule last year, I think should have propelled the MEAC into better standing as far as conferences were concerned. But again, just like you said, Bryan, as far as winning those games, I think Morgan State had a good showing as well, non-conference wise. So I think the powers
the South Carolina State season is what hurt.
Yeah.
MEAC, because that was the team that was your winner. That was your Celebration Bowl, knocked off big bad JSU, and then they turned around and had I mean, look, they just had a bad season. I mean, Coach Pugh will tell you. That's what I think hurt the perception of the MEAC, even though they still beat some folks, and some folks beat them. But that perception, I think, hurt them, especially from the non-conference level.
And I think if we continue, go ahead, Eric.
I mean, I know our non-conference hurt us. There was no excuses for some of our losses. I mean, losing in the MEAC SWAC Challenge to Alabama State, like when they bring it up in HBCU Nightly, I just act like it didn't happen.
Blame it on the weather. Blame it on the fifth.
That was such a herky-jerky game. I was there. Start, stop, this, that. Are we gonna finish it? We're gonna do. I mean, I would pretend it didn't happen either, because I'm telling you, at the start of the game, you take away that interception.
We was marching down the field.
Yes.
We marched down the field 4 drives, just like 2 minute, 2 minute drives, like doom, 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 doom.
And Quentin Williams had a bad game. He just did
in the end zone.
Yeah, you ran the football well. I mean, it was headed in that right direction. But I'll just say, when you're talking about a week 0 game, everybody with the jitters, and then throw the weather factor in there, it just wasn't a good night.
Will Quentin Williams be the quarterback that his stats say he can be? Will he be the most talked about quarterback in the MEAC by the time it's all said and done?
Like this season?
This season.
Most people know. Well, let me say this. No.
Okay.
I'm going to be honest.
All right.
I think he'll be the second most talked about quarterback. But honestly, we're riding with him. He's our guy. I know we got a couple in the barn that probably are giving him a run for his money in camp. So I've heard. But he's the senior. I feel bad for him because he's had a couple different OCs during his time, and that's hard. You get in one system and then you have to transition to another system. Like that stinks, right? It was nice to see his decision making get better over the course of last season. People will see that I tweeted it. I'm a little critical, probably a little more than a little critical. I think sometimes he wouldn't run when there was opportunity space to run, right? He is a pocket passer, right? But when it came to being mobile and getting the yardage we need to keep the drive going, sometimes I thought he fell short. But when his line gives him enough time, he's money. So I'm hoping that he gets a little quicker with the decision making this season. I saw in that progression in the end of last season. But do I think he'll be better than Davius Richards or most talked about? But do I think, we have what it takes to beat North Carolina Central this season? Absolutely. And if we can limit those mistakes, I think we have as good a shot as any. They're coming to us. So
Yes.
That's key. And I think they struggle playing on the road from what I saw last year.
They are a different ball club on the road. They are.
Because in Dover, they went to Dover and that should have been a loss.
Yeah, probably should have been. Yeah, there's going to be, I have a feeling there is going to be a surprising shakeup in the MEAC this year. I think it will be harder for North Carolina Central to repeat, even with the dynamic quarterback, the All-American defensive back. I think it will be harder this year. Now, it will impress the heck out of me to see North Carolina Central back in the Celebration Bowl. I really mean that. It would really impress the heck out of me to see them back there this year. And yes, it may come down to a head-to-head game that may make all the there it is.
Howard has gotten big. I don't think people understand how big our linemen are. Like we're talking 6'8", 6'7", 6'8" across the board.
I also feel like Howard has rebuilt the skill position guys too, from with that before that exodus of talent after London left. I feel like the talent is back. There's some running backs that are pretty good.
Running back stable is crazy.
It is.
Yeah. And the wideouts are looking pretty spiffy too.
Yeah.
We're not talking a lot, but I've seen some clips, and I don't think people realize like how large the team has gotten since even last season.
Totally agree. I mean, that running back core is from top to bottom. You're talking about, the likes of Eden James. You're talking about, Jared Hunter. I mean, just everything that they have. If Quentin Williams can give them competent, quality quarterback play in the passing game, you have all the opportunities in the world. And defensively, I didn't even realize. I had to go back and look at this because I interviewed him last year. I didn't realize Darren Brokenberg was coming back either. So it was one of those things where it's like, okay, defensively, up front, you're absolutely loaded. You're going to make me come to DC. You're going to make me come to DC.
Come sit
and watch that game.
And Aneem Donkwap, we talk about, prospects for the NFL. We've got one. And people are talking about Davius Richards, this and that, and I hope he makes it. But we look at the last, 20 years of NFL products from HBCUs, Howard is top 5. And people people, we might not have had winning seasons, but we certainly have Antoine Bethea and several others with Super Bowl rings, right?
Oh,
So we've got a prospect. We might have two. So yeah, I think don't sleep on us, y'all.
Oh yeah, I mean one of the biggest misconceptions is that Howard doesn't have um, a great football tradition. I mean there's talent that has definitely come out of Howard that's played at Howard. Like you said, you just gotta have the coaching right, and then if the quarterback is right, it can really turn out to be special and remind people of those glory years.
And Greg McGee now is the quarterback coach. Greg McGee is one of my favorite quarterbacks we've ever had. I think he's like all-time leading at Howard.
Yeah, top 50. Yeah, one of the legends that a lot of people don't talk about. It's funny you mentioned that name. He's one of the Howard legends a lot of people don't talk about. I mean, of course, people talk about Ted White and Jay Walker and those names, but because they put up, but McGee, he had some really good years. I don't know what
defense those years. We had zero defense those years.
Yeah, well, maybe that'll do it. Okay, so let me ask this then. Today on the show, we're going to be talking about over-unders, Erica. So I'm going to give you the first chance at the Howard over-under total for the year. This will be the first one we do, Jamie. Okay, obviously Howard's record last year was 5-6. Now, the predicted analytics site, Massey Ratings. I go to Massey Ratings a lot. They predict that now, based on games that Howard can win by a rate of 51% or more, they actually only predict Howard with a 6-5 record. 6-5 record. So, with that said, I'm setting the over-under total on Howard this year at 5.5. I'm setting it at 5.5. Over or under 5.5 wins. Obviously, that means 6 or more, or under 5.
Over.
You're going over.
Mm-hmm.
Care to venture? If I set it at 6.5, would you still take it over?
Over. I'm looking at the schedule now. If we do all the things right, I see 8 wins.
Hold on before I answer that.
Go
Jamie,
ahead.
your thoughts. What's your thought on that number? 5.5.
I think I'm gonna take the over on that too. I think the MEAC is going to be interesting. I think the conference is going to beat up each other this year, because one of my biggest questions in general is, what is South Carolina State?
Yes.
I want to know. Are we going to take Corey Fields 2 years ago, or are we taking Corey Fields last year? And I don't know what that looks like.
Well, really,
they
it's
are
Corey
real
Fields
quiet.
the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Don't forget, not just 2 years ago, but even the year before that, when he was a freshman, Corey Fields was pretty doggone good.
Yeah. So I'll say right now over, but they could beat each other up in the conference this year. They really could. And I'm gonna tell you what, Morgan State. Competent I'll go back to competent quarterback play. If they can somehow make that happen, which Coach Damon Wilson down there, hey, he's building. I believe in him. And one of these years, he's gonna take the conference. I firmly believe that, but I don't know if it's this year.
I don't think it's this year. I go back and forth with the Banks about
oh yeah,
our rivalry that doesn't exist for Howard. Apparently exists for them.
It's hilarious. Oh,
there's no rivalry there, Erica. That's what you're saying. There's no rivalry.
Not. No. They're a little preoccupied with us, and we're always busy. But I think Damon, we saw what he did at Bowie State. Honestly, like, he didn't have any guys last year, any of his own guys, I'll say. He's had the opportunity now to recruit and put in his system. I think, they'll be at Green on November, 18th. So I think Morgan will put up a fuss this season. They have what, 4 games in the CAA as well this year, so that's going to be really interesting. Not A&T is not one of them, notably, but I think Damon Wilson will make a stink in the MEAC this year, but I don't think they'll beat us. But I think they'll do better than they did last year for certain.
The 2 swing games on that schedule, you mentioned potentially, you said as high as potentially 8 wins this year.
I'm saying we running through the MEAC.
Okay, so okay, I got you. So the games that spark the highest or the lowest margin win-loss are obviously at South Carolina State, which right now is a 3-point spread, and the North Carolina Central game, which is also a 3-point spread. So, I mean, you look at those 2 games and say, you win those 2 games. Those are the games that you're not going to be favored to win, at least at the beginning of the season. Now, that may change.
I don't think we'll ever be favored to win those 2 games, whether we're running with wind behind our backs or not. I don't think we'll ever be favored to beat South Carolina State and North Carolina Central. I think what's favorable to us this year is last year we were on the road like 75% of the season. This year we're at home. So a lot more teams are coming to us.
There you go. Let's pivot for a second, Erica, and let's talk about the South by Southwest panel, and more so about just that conference and what it is that you and Josh, HBCU Nightly, are trying to put together. Those of you who, first off, let's make sure those of you guys in the chat room, make sure you're following Erica. Hopefully you are already. If you're HBCU Nightly subscribers, you're already following Erica. If not, please make sure you're following her on Twitter. But as you see, she's probably been tweeting out some information about the South. But what you'll see is SXSW, and that'll always be trending in March. That's the one thing that, and you always, and me, I've watched it the last 3-4 years, and I'm always like, what the heck is that? What is it? And I'm just, so let's start first with that question, and let's answer that for people. What is South by Southwest? What is that conference, which is annually in Austin, Texas?
So South by Southwest, and this past March was my first time going. This is a humongous, massive 3 weeks, almost a month-long conference that has an education conference, a music conference and festival, a music, film, TV conference and festival, and then like another piece kind of in between that covers a total huge span of topics from technology to sports to culture to art, like anything you can think of. There's like a track, what they call a track for it, where people from all over the world come and give, fireside chats, talks, meet and greets, like all throughout the week. And so I went for, 8 days last year, which was a lot, but every day was filled like from 8 a.m. to like 9 p.m. full of just events and talks and networking and all sorts of things. And it's always in Austin, Texas. There they call it South by. They don't even say the Southwest part. And I had the pleasure of going for the technology track, which is like my day job. But I also dabbled in the sports track stuff too, and got to listen to some really cool talks on, sports and sports media and culture and all these cool things.
And so, and I want to make sure here, I want to share the actual page here. Yeah, I got it here. So that way people can see it here. And so, of course, I put the link there for everybody here. To actually, first off, you need to go and create an account. Real easy to do. It doesn't take but a second, especially if you use Google or Facebook. You can make a real quick, account. And then the description of the panel. So at this point, they're, I guess, creating or curating panels to try to figure out what panels will be a part of the conference. Is that correct? And so they're kind of asking people to basically vote on, or what panels would you like to be a part of, correct?
Correct. I think between the three conferences, there's like 5,000 proposals for panels, like the three pieces of the conferences. And so I talked to Josh and was like, we need to present. Like, there is a ton of opportunity space. I went to one panel and I always forget this man's name, but he plays, I don't know, wide receiver for the Buffalo Bills. I can't ever remember his name. And I asked him a question about how NFL players are engaging with HBCUs. And like, there's so much buzz around what we have going on in the college football space. And his answer was like awful. It was really terrible, actually. It didn't answer the question at all. But like, that wasn't the point, because after I asked that question, probably 10 sports executives from all sorts of different companies, including like Sportico, came up to me and wanted to engage with me on HBCU sports and things like that. So although I did not get my answer from that guy, I got a ton of support and networks and stuff like that just from asking the question and talking to them. They definitely want to see, panels about what we talk about in this type of venue, what we're doing here now on X Spaces, everything. So we decided to put together a topic and, put it out there for people to maybe vote on, so that we can have, our voices heard at this very influential conference. And of note, if you go on the panel picker and you put in HBCU, there's only 11 proposals across the three conferences for South by Southwest, like 5,000 or 6,000 proposals. Only 11 are about HBCUs, and this is the only one about HBCU sports.
The modern HBCU sports model. This session will be a discussion of the HBCU athletic program landscape for revenue sports, to include media deals, conference alignment, and expanded brand exposure. It will culminate in thoughts on how to expand the awareness about and the impact of the HBCU athletics product in order to brand it to new markets outside of the traditional HBCU fan base. And so you go to the page, and obviously up in the top right corner there, right there, cast your vote. You can hit that. Let me see. Have I already voted? Oh, look, I voted again. How many times can you vote in a day? How many times can you vote in a day, Erica?
I thought you could only vote once ever, but listen.
Right, well, hey, look, I just voted again. I just voted again. So, and then you can share it. Obviously, you got a video here from one of the episodes of HBCU Nightly, season 2, episode 55.
And then you'll see some takeaways.
Yeah, some takeaways here. Some takeaways. One, how HBCU athletic programs are impacted by flashy coaching hires, and how that impacts media deals, recruiting, and branding. That's interesting. Flashy hires, huh? We've had some of those happen, right?
Just a couple.
Just a few. Number 2, how HBCU athletic programs are recruiting more 4- and 5-star athletes, which is changing how they interact with Power 5 programs. And number 3, how HBCU athletic programs continue to innovate and expand their brand and recruitment impact while competing in the FCS, Division II, and beyond. What kind of feedback have you gotten from what you've put out here, Erica?
I mean, folks are into it. I mean, you can see, like, I was looking at like just the tweets and the shares. Like, it seems like it's gaining traction. There's interest there. I think now with conference realignment in the last like week or two, I think there's even more to talk about as of how it impacts us as HBCUs and where we see our conferences going in the swirl of all the all of what's happening at the Power 4 level now. Um, and
Yeah.
so I think this is just a proposal as we wrote it, I don't know, a month and a half ago. But I can say probably by the time March comes around, there'll probably be some, impacts and fallout from what we're seeing now in the college football landscape that can even shape this conversation even further.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. When does the deadline to vote? What is the process like? When is voting in? When will you sort of have a idea as to whether is there a second round that happens, or it's like, okay, you guys got enough interest, yeah, we'll go ahead and bring you in?
August 20th is the last day for voting. And what's cool about it is there's like the votes count for like 30 or 40%. And then like there's a couple other metrics that they use, like, are there other panels like this for this track, which in the sports track, we're the only one. The folks that choose, they kind of like read the panel, like what we propose, and see if it would be a good fit. So it's not just voting, but voting is like a huge component of it. So we want to like really pump it and get folks to vote for us. And what's cool is you can also watch, if you can't go to South by Southwest, you can still access the panel and watch it from the comfort of your own home, which is cool.
All right. Good job. Appreciate you, Tamara T. Just voted. All right.
Thank
Good
you.
to hear. Yeah, definitely. And keep voting. You can vote on multiple days. So make sure you vote and then share. That's very important. You got to share with it's very important. We got to share with our networks and let our friends know what we're doing. The sports track what other kind of things are in that sports model? Like what other kind of panels or discussions are they having?
Oh, they talk about sports media. They talk about sports culture. I mean, they bring in NFL players, NBA players, like professional players and coaches to do panels. They talk the business of sports. They do live podcast recordings during like the sports track. I mean, anything you can think of, they have. ESPN folks, Sportico folks, prominent journalists that are giving talks. I mean, it really spans the gamut.
Okay.
I just noticed last year there was no discussion about historically Black colleges and universities, and it was crazy to me seeing like the numbers the Celebration Bowl does, right? Like all of the
Deion Sanders even in that space. You know what I'm saying? Everything that he brought into our world.
Not one mention. Like it's like it didn't happen.
Wow.
We have all of our games on ESPN, ESPNU, ESPN Plus. Like we've got media deals, like things, like there's a surge of interest, and there was no one to talk about it.
And see, I now understand, understanding this conference, understanding a little bit more why this is even more important to have now. Because again, we can be a little tunnel vision about what we think we're doing in our space. But hey, guys, there's a bigger world out there. It's like stepping outside and saying, or maybe you have that kid or that young person, Jamie, you can relate to this young person who's never traveled outside of the state or the city.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, oh, you don't know what's in Tennessee. No, I've never been outside the state of Florida. And you're just like, huh? But outside how others view our HBCU thing that we love. I mean, we're graduates and we're passionate about it. We talk about it, but then you realize it's getting this much traction.
Correct.
And so to be in a space like this will help hopefully open some eyes up and bring in some people who may not have even thought about, oh, you mean I can reach these people? I mean, college educated, spending money, passionate about sports. What? Where are those people at? They all go to where? Yes.
And I mean, think about it. We have literally from the ground floor developed our own ecosystem of media to cover our own sports because no one else would do it.
Well
and
said.
when I was chatting with people about how like we do it ourselves, and we have this whole system and ecosystem of reporters, journalists, enthusiasts, alumni who cover the games across a bunch of sports, and there's thousands and thousands of listeners out there. People were blown away. So it's more of an opportunity to get our product and our brand and our schools out there.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to continuing. We have until next Sunday, everybody. So we will again we'll share this link all throughout the week. I know some of our other shows will do it. I'll make sure to share it on Wednesday's show, the ONG that I do. And I know Dr. Cavill will probably mention it more than once on his Tuesday and Thursday. I'm speaking for Doc, but I know Doc he'll do that. And so just want to encourage everybody. There's that link again. You'll see the link. I know I have personally retweeted it from my page. I'll make sure to retweet it from the Black College Sports Network Twitter feed as well. If you're following Erica on Twitter, okay, there's Erica's handle. You can make sure you can see it there, and it takes a second. Create the account, and then share. Go to the panel, hit the check button, and then make sure the more important thing is that you share it. Facebook, Twitter, those of you who are on LinkedIn, if you do that too. But this will be big. This will be a big opportunity for not only just HBCUs, but for you and the HBCU Nightly team. So.
Yeah, thank you so much for highlighting this. I mean, it's really quite special and super excited.
Yeah. Like I said, I found it interesting because, like I said, I've always been curious about the South by, as it's called, but I just never. It's one of those. When you're a teacher, when am I going to take a whole week? I wish I could take a whole week to go to a conference. I mean, but it always sounds interesting because the Twitter traction during the conference is pretty interesting, from just the different stuff, and everybody seems to love Austin, Texas. I got to get to Austin, Texas. It sounds like a.
If you've been to Texas, Austin is unlike any other city in that state. Let me tell you, it's cool. It's just like, oh, this is not like Dallas, Houston, or San Antonio. It's very quirky.
Okay, Erica Rochelle, again, want to put this up. Her first over-under win total, over-under 5.5 wins for Howard. Erica says yes, way over. She's going with actually 8.
I love it.
Yeah, I love it too. Jamie's going over. I'm going over too. I really think Howard will overcome this year. My dark horse MEAC champ. And I hope, if you guys win it, that you win it outright and we don't have any MEAC-ish kind of things going on.
Well, they changed the rules. There's no more co-champs. So if we win it, they won't be class rings, as Coach Oliver called them.
Oh, no, he didn't call them class rings. No.
He did.
Wow.
Listen.
Wait a minute. Let's go back for a second, because don't bury the headline. We have made we've coined the phrase MEAC-ish, clearly for its ability to muddle up a conference champion. But so now there's one outright. I mean, there's no co-champs anymore, huh?
They changed that in the spring, but as I've said multiple times on Twitter, the co-champ situation was only a problem when it was Howard. No one ever had feelings about it when it was anyone else.
Oh, because there's been years where there's been like 4 or 5 co-champs.
Yes, it has. Yes,
like,
it has.
So
yes.
All right, Erica. Anything we left off that you wanted to talk about or mention or give a shout out to anybody? I'll give you the last word before we go to break here.
No, this was great. Follow me on Twitter or X, ERLee0217. I accept all follow requests, and, look out for me on HBCU Nightly. We have a special guest in 2 weeks, someone I'm very excited about. So we haven't announced them yet, but on August 23rd, but please listen in. And I also do Twitter Spaces on Howard athletics, football, basketball. So, there's a lot of cool things happening. I'm on the board of our NIL collective, so you're about to hear some really interesting things from the Mecca and the NIL space.
Okay, Howard has an NIL collective. Okay,
Hmm?
we got to talk because I'm trying to gather the troops down in Tallahassee. So we got to talk. I'm gathering info because that's we'll talk offline.
Yes, please reach out. So thank you guys. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's a pleasure. We look forward to, and also don't forget the X's and O's podcast, which will start at the beginning of the season. So that'll be fun, and then we'll go from there. So hopefully, I see you sometime before the Celebration Bowl, Erica, at one of these games somewhere.
I'll be at MEAC SWAC Challenge too.
Oh, okay.
I will see you there. We'll see you there. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you follow Erica, hit her up, let her know thank you. You appreciate her coming on the show, and then go vote. Again, the South by panel, the modern HBCU sports model is the name, and I'll make sure to in case you missed that link, I'll put it up again. We're going to take a short break. We got win totals over under. You saw the Howard total. Do you agree? You disagree with the 5.5? Are you going over? Wait till you see some of the other predicted win totals for the rest of the Division I teams in HBCU football. So we'll be back in just a minute after this break. You're watching the BCSN Sports Wrap. We'll be back in a moment.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU Sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Bryan and Jamie here. Wow, great conversation. Look, we obviously went a full almost an hour with Erica, but that was pretty awesome, though. You know, that's why I like doing this. Sometimes these conversations they go well longer than the time that we thought they might be. So,
yeah, they have to spill over, man. You because Erica has a lot of interesting things that she's into, and just a lot of interesting perspectives when it comes to the MEAC in general. I think when we're talking about, in fact, this, I talked about this the other day, and I'm not going to go too long, but I looked at the Carlos Brown show, looked at the replay, and heard former A&T alum Wheeler Brown talk about the changing of conferences when it came to A&T. and how, he cringed, with the Big South move and cringed again with the CAA move. I felt the exact same way, but kind of understood where that is. And a lot of people have had opinions about it, and that's great. That's that's the country we live in. We can do that. As long as you have your own reasoning to have those opinions and it be informed and educated and whatever, I'm always free to listen to it. And that's why, I asked her that question, as far as having smoke for for whomever when it comes to defending the MEAC. And there's not a lot of spaces that do that when it comes to the MEAC. I still fully enjoy MEAC football. And still keep up with it despite my school being in the Coastal Athletic Association. So, great discussion. Great discussion. I love those perspectives.
Yeah, definitely. All for the MEAC content, definitely. Interesting season to say the least. Want to thank everybody. Hey, it's a great discussion, great chats going on. What's hard is we're having a great discussion, and I'm keeping one eye on the chats. I mean, I love you guys in the chat room. I look. I'll admit I don't have a moderator set up in the chat, so it's the Wild West.
Is it really?
I mean, I think it is. I think but I'm not even gonna call names on who's doing what, but I'm just gonna say it's the Wild West over there, and so I love it. I appreciate y'all. We hope that everybody is being as respectful as we can be as fans of our institutions to one another, and hopefully during the conversation, or at least the chat conversation, that you heard some interesting nuggets throughout the interview with Erica. Want to ask you and remind you that you can now join us on the JBN membership. We got 3 different levels that you can support the Black College Sports Network and Jericho Broadcast Networks, which is the parent company. For 25 years, we've been trying to bring live coverage of HBCU athletic events. I believe last year, the Black College Sports Network might have streamed more Black college athletic events than any other entity, and I'm saying athletic events. So we are looking to do that again this year, fall, winter, and spring. Your donation helps keep us moving forward in that. We're looking forward to a great year with our partner schools and more. And so we're looking to bring some exclusive content at the end of these football games on Saturdays, some discounts on some merchandise that we're going to start rolling out here shortly, and just some other opportunities. But more importantly, it's just an opportunity to support, and we say thank you because you guys are the reason why we do this, and we appreciate your support. So you can find the join button there where you normally would subscribe, or you can just go to that link there, youtube.com/MyJBN online/join, and that'll show you how you can join and be a part. Okay, so let's do this, Jamie. Since we started in the MEAC, right? We started with the first win total of Howard. And again, Howard, of course, last year 5-6, predicted by Massey to have a 6-5 record with a win total of 5.5. And I'll tell a little bit. Oh, hold on, we might even have our special guest jumping in. I didn't think we'd get him, but it looks like we might have my guy jumping in. Let's see.
Of course.
You brought me on a little bit too fast. I was still trying to straighten myself up.
Hold on. Oh, see, there you go. I'll tell you, I'll put you out and give you a second to collect yourself here. There we go.
What's going on, fellas?
What's going on, sir?
Good to have you on, man.
Always, man. Finished my event a little bit earlier than I thought, so I figured I would jump in for the last segment.
Yeah. Well, good. Perfect timing. You decided to jump in because we're just getting into our season win total section. We had Erica Rochelle on earlier. We started already with the first one. Obviously, her being Howard, we started with the over/under 5.5 wins for Howard this season. Let me just say this: the games that they are predicted to least likely win would be the Eastern Michigan game to open the season, predicted to have a 2% win probability. That would be the lowest. Actually, they actually have. I don't know what Eastern Michigan is bringing this year, but the Northwestern game, they actually. Oh, I'm sorry, Northwestern 0. I'm sorry. Yeah, Northwestern.
Just a flat out 0.
Just a flat out 0. So they are predicted no chance of winning against Northwestern, but actually a 2%. That's amazing how that works. And how did you gave me your total? You obviously think they're going over. You think they go over that?
Yes.
All right. I'm not going to try to put up banners and graphics for these other ones. Maybe I will here as we get into talking. But let's start with the top of the food chain for North Carolina Central. Now, one of the things that I think I mentioned last week, Drew, is that Phil Steele, who any of you who follow college football, if you get Phil Steele's magazine or you subscribe to his website, Phil Steele is not very bullish on North Carolina Central this year. Actually sees a regression. Last year, North Carolina Central won 10 games, 10-2. Of course, that includes the Celebration Bowl. This year, Massey predicts them with a 7-4 record. So I went kind of back and forth, and I'm looking at their schedule between the Division II opponent, Winston-Salem State, the Power 5 team at UCLA, the non-conference matchups between Campbell and Elon, as well as Valley and North Carolina A&T. Let's not forget about them. And I'm going to set the win total at 8.5. 8.5. So the question, wrong one. So the question is, over under 8.5 wins for North Carolina Central. Jamie?
Well, hopefully under. And I'm just judging by the schedule, like literally looking, because I think over would be them beating my school. Because I'm looking everywhere else, I could see them logically getting the win. But I'm telling you, just like the discussion we had with Erica, I think the conference kind of cannibalizes each other. I do not know what South Carolina State is. I do not know. And the last time they've been this quiet, yeah, it was trouble. So I'm going to say under right now.
Okay. Jamie's going under. Drew, what do you got?
I'm trying to pull up what I had sent to you earlier, Bryan. You may be able to pull that up quicker than I have. But yeah, when you talk about a team like Central, I mean, they're coming off a 10-win season. You know, that's one of those, do you take Tiger, do you take the field? Statistically, you take the field because you've got a better chance with more numbers. After winning 10 games, it's almost, you know, it's hard to duplicate that, especially with some of the games that they have on the schedule. I believe they've got UCLA as one of their non-conference games. Okay, that right there puts them at a 10-win season already. So, you know, I believe I had Central at.
You had over.
I had over. I think I've got Central actually with 9 this year. Now I think I've got a 9-2 in the regular season.
Okay. So you're now. What's interesting is they are.
And let me say this, and Jamie will love this. If they beat A&T, they'll definitely get that 9. If they get that 9-2, I think A&T is going to be that swing game on our over under, whether it's an 8 or a 9 win season. I think that's gonna be the swing game for Central.
Well, with the exception of the Winston-Salem game and the Valley game in the Circle City Classic in Indy, they aren't going to be favored in any of those other non-conference games. They're not a favorite against A&T. They're not a favorite against, obviously, UCLA, not a favorite against Campbell, and not a favorite against Elon. Yeah, and yeah, Jamie, I did say that. They are not a favorite against North Carolina A&T.
Well, I mean, I'm grateful. Hopefully they're right. But the Campbell game was the more intriguing because they got mollywopped last year against Campbell. How they were injured. Didn't have some people in key spots. I remember that. But, that was not a good game for them at all. So them not being favored, I get it. Maybe it's some conference bias. I get that too. So we'll see. Let's play football.
All right, let's go over to South Carolina State. Now, this is an interesting one. Last year, 3-8. Uncharacteristic season. This year, they're predicted actually to have a 5-6 season this year. So, I mean, a little bit better. We don't know what their season is going to be. We don't know, they won't be a favorite against Jackson State. They won't be a favorite in their first 4 ball games against Charlotte. They have 3. Well, Charlotte and Georgia Tech are Division I, and I should say FBS teams. They play the Citadel after a bye week, and then they have a Virginia Union Lynchburg contest. They aren't even favored against Tennessee Tech. So the one thing that I'm seeing is that records from a year ago, statistics matter in these analytics, but I'm going to set the win total at 5.5. I mean, a 3-win team last year. Can they finish over 500 this year?
You asking me?
Yeah. We'll start there.
I'm gonna go over. I think they right the ship this year. I think that triumvirate between them, Howard, and Central is going to be real interesting this year. So I think they're going to get each other. So I think I'm gonna say instead of 5-6, 6-5.
Okay, 3-win improvement this year. Drew, you actually you went oppo. You went oppo of me and Jamie again. You went under.
Doggone contrarian.
So, are you? Why under? Are you not? Where's your hesitation?
Why under?
Yeah,
I'm gonna be honest.
With South Carolina State?
South Carolina State will be over September, and if you consider the BX Challenge as part of September, I don't see a win until they play Lynchburg. I'm just being honest with you. They've got Jackson State, which is a winnable game, but I just think Jackson State will win that game. Charlotte, Georgia Tech, and the Citadel. Outside of possibly beat Jackson State, where's another win?
Okay, you're right. For a team that we don't know anything about, you're right. But
I mean, and this is typical South Carolina State. South Carolina State. This is another, for lack of a better word, this is another possible 2021 for South Carolina State. Because if South Carolina State can go through the MEAC undefeated, once again, just like I said in 2021, they could go into the Celebration Bowl upside down.
Yeah, we've seen that.
This is another one of those schedules for South Carolina State.
Yeah. All right. Let's move over to Morgan State. This is a fascinating number. Last year, Morgan State was 4-7. They are actually predicted to have the worst record in the MEAC among MEAC schools. Yeah. The analytics, the preseason predictions have them as technically I'm going to call it let's see, let me double check here. Is it 1 in 10? Yeah, a 1 in 10 season.
I want some action on that.
Now,
Yeah.
I do too. So I set the line. Look, I didn't know how high to set it, so I'm gonna be cautious here. But I'm setting it at 3.5.
I still want that action.
You'll still take the.
I'm still taking that action.
You'll still take the.
This is not Ty Wheatley's Morgan State Bears.
Okay.
I agree with you. But you know what? I kind of understand where they may be getting or where they're basing those analytics from. Their schedule, they do play 4 CAA teams, which will be interesting. Erica kind of noted it. I had to pull up their schedule. But they're going to get somebody too. So I think, they'll be above 3 wins. I think you said 3.5. I think they'll be above that. Yeah, they'll be above that. I think so too.
They're at Richmond. They play Towson. Is Towson CAA?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who else is on there? Because the rest of that schedule includes Albany, Yale, Stony Brook.
Yeah.
Albany and Stony Brook are the
I
two.
think they beat Stony Brook last year.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
I think the Yale game is going to be interesting. Once again, even though Yale went 8-2 on last season, but the fact that the Ivy League does not give out scholarships, I mean, I'm going to be real. You should not be losing to a team that does not give out scholarships. I'm just that's just like, I mean, in theory, that's just like losing to FCS losing to a D2 or FBS losing to a D2. There are certain things that should not happen.
Yeah, but Drew, it's different though at the Ivy because those guys are probably getting scholarship money from other areas. It's like, we don't give out athletic scholarships, but we're giving money and you're getting money from other places. I mean, and the other thing is the Ivy League, we talked about this earlier, the Ivy League continues to be rated. I mean, if the MEAC or the SWAC, and I broke it up into, if the SWAC East is rated as the 14th or 13th best conference in FCS football, Ivy League is like 7. So for whatever reason, the perception, the reality, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but we talk about these games. These are these games where HBCU's got to go win. Like Howard should have beaten Yale last year. Howard needs to go beat Harvard this year. Morgan State needs to go beat Yale this year. And once that starts happening, things will start to change in terms of that perception. But again, 3.5 wins is the number for Morgan. Well, I think we're all taking the over. All right. Here's another team from the MEAC that had a 2-9 record last year. And Massey kind of thinks they'll have a similar record. Predicted to, again, finish 2-9. I'm a little more bullish on Norfolk State. So I'm putting their line at 3.5 wins. 2-9 last year. I'm thinking they might get a little more this year. Now, Drew, you got the over. You're taking over 3.5 with Norfolk this year. You think Coach Odom's turns it around this year, huh?
Yeah, I've got them down for 5, but I've got them going only 1-4 in conference though.
Wow. 1-4 in conference play?
1-4 in conference.
Ooh. So, that non-conference, let me see. They got Virginia State.
Yeah, they should get that one.
Temple.
I'm giving them Virginia State, Hampton, and I was torn between the Tennessee State, giving them Tennessee State, but I did give them Tennessee State. Actually, that should be 4-7 is where I should have them at, and then I'm giving them Delaware State in conference.
Jamie, they play your Aggies. They got
I'm rolling with Jay on that one.
And I tell you what, they played them tough last year at home. I mean, the score didn't kind of indicate it, but it was a closer game than what the ending score was. So, depending on what goes on, a ball here, ball there, you never know. But I think my Aggies still win the game. But that's rough because I'm looking at the schedule and I'm also having a hard time picking out wins. That Towson game might be up in the air. But I think they got a new coaching staff, so we'll see what happens. Tennessee State will be interesting as well, as far as whether or not they can win that game. And definitely Dale State, I think they'll get that one as well. But we'll see. We'll see. So that may be close to being truthful. That may be close to being where they are.
I got to respond to Mike here. Mike, I want you tell me what the line should be, Mike. I'm curious. You say 3.5. I'm assuming you think it's too low. Where do you see wins at, Mike? I'm curious.
I'm going through the schedule.
Go through the schedule.
Go through the schedule.
Again, Morgan is at Richmond, at Akron, hosting Towson, hosting Albany. I mean, you're not going to be favored to win those games. Then you're hosting
Stony Brook.
Stony Brook. You're not even favored to win that. You're going to Yale. You're definitely not favored to win. Where the win's supposed to come from?
And in the BAC, you got South Carolina State, Howard, and Norfolk on the road.
Oh, 5.5 wins. Oh no, I might.
Say you might take that action, boss.
I think I might. Hey, look, I might take the under and still win. I'm serious. 5 wins. 5 wins. 5 wins would be an improvement from the previous year, would it not?
Definitely.
Okay, so see, that's how this works. See, Morgan State was 4-7. If you get 5 wins,
that's an improvement.
That's an improvement. Yeah. So at 3.5. All I'm saying is, the model says 1. Last year you won 4. So I'm actually giving benefit of the doubt by giving you 3.5. That's all I'm saying. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt.
And Bryan, just make sure people understand we're not pulling these numbers off the air that we think, and we're just going with the analytics.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll tell you, because we're going to get to some teams here later. I think the analytics are completely wrong, and so, but I'm looking at this and saying, if you were going to take your money, your hard-earned money, up to the window and saying, I'm putting my money on Morgan State to win over 3.5 games, you know what? You can feel pretty good about it. But at 5.5, no, there's no way I'm putting my money, my hard-earned money on 5.5 over 5.5. They got to nah.
But I'll put Mike's money on it.
Yeah, I'll take Mike's money on it. Yeah, I'll put your money on it. So okay, what Drew? Can you try? Okay, you're in the chat. You're in that feature there. You can. What was our Norfolk State? Drew went over. Jamie, what was yours again? Over 3.5 or under?
Wow. Oh man, I'm gonna go under.
Ugh.
I'm trying to find wins.
Yeah, I don't know where to go. I don't know where to go. I'm more optimistic on Morgan than I am Norfolk State. So if I went over with Morgan, then I have to go under with Norfolk State at the same 3.5 win total.
Yeah.
Last team in the MEAC is Dell State. We set the line at 2.5. Now, here's what's interesting. Dell State was 5-6 a year ago, but actually predicted to finish 3-8 this year. So, I mean, look, 5 wins. Do you believe Dell State is a 5-win team? Didn't they get rid of their coach? Didn't they, like a lot of upheaval at Dell State from a year ago? That was a senior-laden team or an upper-class team last year.
Bryan, outside of everybody's date, who are they going to beat? that being Virginia Lynchburg. Everybody dates Virginia Lynchburg in the MEAC.
They got a 51% chance of beating Norfolk State by a point. That's
they
the
really
swing
think
game.
Norfolk State is going to be that bad.
If even with that, that's a toss-up game. That's not a guaranteed W. If you have 51-49, that's a toss-up.
Well, okay. Well, again, you're right. You're right. The Bowie State game is interesting. They could potentially lose that game, even though I think they're predicted to win that game. Yeah, they're predicted to win that game, but that's a game that I think a lot of people won't be surprised when people talk about Division II teams that could win and beat an FCS. That's the game. That's one of them right there. Because didn't they beat them last year or 2 years ago?
That was 2 years
Yeah.
ago.
2 years ago. So,
yeah.
And then they got the Virginia Lynchburg game. I guess if we're going to count that as a win, there's a win. So, Drew went under. Jamie, what are you going? Over, under?
I'm going under.
Damn, under. Yeah, I'll make it a clean sweep. I'll go under 2.
Can't do it.
I'll go 2 wins. Yeah, I mean, 2 wins is realistic.
I don't see 3.
Yeah, two wins. We'll go 2 wins. All right, before we get into the SWAC, let's go to our other I guess you can call them independents, whatever we want to call them. I don't know. There's always a new name, or feels like there's a new name. Okay, Tennessee State. Let's see. Tennessee. There's a lot of optimism for Tennessee State. The computers love Tennessee State. I want you to know that, because last year the computers loved Tennessee State as well. In terms of overall rank, Tennessee State's predicted to finish 3rd in the Ohio Valley. Last year, Tennessee State went 4-7. This year, they're actually predicted to go 5-6. So we're going to set the line at 5.5. 5.5 for Tennessee State. Non-conference schedule, of course, includes Notre Dame.
Loss.
Neutral site against UAPB. Hosting Gardner-Webb. The UT Martin. I think that's when we start to get into conference play. They do have a non-conference against Norfolk State. They have a non-conference against Lincoln, California.
That's everybody's new date.
Everybody's new date, right?
That's the new chick on the block.
Yeah. So, and then
they'll get Lindenwood.
Lindenwood's in there too. That's another new team.
They'll get Lincoln.
All right. So let's see. I already got one person says under.
Yeah. I've got them over, Brian. I've got them at 6. I've got them slightly over.
I'm gonna tell you now, Will, it will be under 50. I would play Tennessee State in the points. If I saw 50 points out there, and trust me, Notre Dame will not cover a margin that big. Never. I don't even think they've got. Notre Dame is hard to cover a 40-point margin. If you see 50, Will, run to the bank, put your whole paycheck on Tennessee State. I'm telling you now.
See, there you go, having people homeless.
Notre Dame will not cover a 50-point spread. They're not that kind of team.
This analysis is not.
Oh yeah, go and put
not
the
by
disclaimer.
The Black College Sports Network. These are especially by the host Bryan Fulford. So at him, don't at the network.
I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna go over as well.
I want to believe, man. I want to believe that Eddie George has got these guys going in the right direction. I think
if he doesn't, is he on the hot seat this year? Next year, excuse me.
Well, is this year 2? Last year was year 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
So year 1, was that the COVID year?
Post-COVID.
Post-COVID. So what was their record 2 years ago? Anybody know what their record was 2 years ago?
It was like 3. And I'm just going off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if anybody pulls it up real quick. But I'm gonna against my better judgment, I'm gonna say over 5.5. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm drinking the Eddie George Kool-Aid, and I'm gonna go there. So, well, it's a tough one. All right, let's go over to Jamie's beloved North Carolina A&T State Aggies. 7-4 a year ago, but Massey only sees them winning 4 games this year. With 1 game, and now this is a new conference now. This is coming 7-4 in the Big South. They only see them winning 4 games in the was it now the Colonial?
Coastal.
Coastal
Athletic Association.
Yes. Coastal. Actually predicted to finish 13th out of 15 teams in the conference. So not much optimism, but they do expect them to beat Central, Jamie. That what do you think about that first off? 7 point, if the spread was 6.5, which I think is what it might be, can the Aggies cover 6.5 against the Eagles?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You mean asking such questions? Right. Let me see. You said so. What is the over under?
Okay, so the total 5.5 wins for North Carolina A&T State this year. Now notice the model though. The model predicts them to finish 4-6 with one of those. Well, actually 4-7 with one of those games kind of being a 50-50 split. So I'm setting it at 5.5 to try to see are the Aggies better than a 4 or 5 win team?
Central, Campbell, Elon, Norfolk State, Hampton. Can we get a 5th?
Yeah.
I'm going to say, and it pains me to do this, I'm going to say under. Jumping into a new conference.
Jamie goes under. ODB goes under as well. D-Champ goes over, though.
Man, hey, from your mouth to God's ear, Dave.
Jamie goes under. Drew, you went over.
Yes. And I'm with Jamie on those games. I'm not giving you Central though, Jamie. But I think between Villanova, Delaware, and Rhode Island, they'll pick up those other victories that they did. Because I'm giving Campbell, Hampton, Norfolk State. I'm giving them those 3. And then you got a couple of them out there. North Carolina A&T is too good to lose all of those games. They will get at least two of those games, and A&T is good as still in the game at somewhere along the line. They're just too good of a team. That's why I'm giving them the over, but barely over. I'm giving them 6.
I'm going under. I'm gonna go 5. I think you guys are gonna be real close, Jamie. I'm going under. Okay.
Hey.
6. Wow, that's interesting. See,
Troy. Listen,
there's a lot of I respect you guys, the A&T folks that I've been listening to, like Dave and other folks. You guys are right on the fence, and so with being on the fence like that, I'm gonna play the under. I'm gonna play the under. I'm curious about the Central, and what'll take me under is the Central game. I'm shocked. I'm gonna first off say that I'm shocked that you guys are a favorite. No disrespect, but that's a home game? Is that a home game?
Yeah, it is.
Maybe that's why. But doggone, a 6 6.5 point favorite at home.
Yeah.
Three is home field. So where
Yeah, exactly.
other
So
3.5
I mean,
coming from?
that to me, there's the red flags about Central, and that's why I'll be curious when Central comes out talking about motivation and bulletin board material. Woo, when they look up and see, oh, what, we're not a favorite, we're actually an underdog. Yeah, that's gonna be interesting to see. Yeah, Dave says A&T didn't lose as much as folks think.
I agree. I agree, Dave. If brother Eli can brother Eli can step up, and from what I hear in spring in practice, listen, all the way around, offensively we should be good. Defensively is rounded into shape. I think we're going to sneak up on some people. So I agree. It won't be a surprise if it's six wins.
Yeah. I want to throw one more thing out. One thing that I do like about A&T, even though they're going to a new conference, a lot of the teams that they're playing are familiar foes, both going to the CAA, teams that move from the Big South to the CAA with A&T, and of course in non-conference, those couple of BAC or HBCU foes that they have. So they're not as green as they may look on paper to those folks in the CAA.
I agree.
Okay, let's finish up with the non-SWAC schools with Hampton. Interesting. Hampton predicted to finish last in the Coastal, the CAA. Last year they were 4-7 in the CAA. This year, Massey actually thinks that they will only win 2 games with potentially a third. So predicting sort of a 3-8 or 2-9 kind of record for Hampton. I'm a little more optimistic. I think Hampton, I'm going to set the line at 3.5 for Hampton. So do you think Hampton has a similar 4-win season? Or do you think Hampton will finish on expectation and only win about 3 games? That's the question. Now, here's what's interesting. Before you get into their conference schedule, listen to the non-conference. The non-conference schedule includes a neutral site against Grambling, Norfolk State at home, and then a neutral site against Howard, a game which they have owned that series. I think I didn't want to say this when Jericho was on, but I think the numbers are a little more daunting. I think Howard or Hampton has won this series a lot more than I think she gave them credit for over the last decade. But I don't have my complete stats here with me, but I know Hampton's won at least the last 3 or 4 against Howard. So, and then you get into conference, and they're not expected to win any games in conference.
I think they maybe won 1 last year, 1 conference game last year.
Well, whatever
they
it
got
was,
somebody.
They're not expected to win any this year.
Bryan, this could very realistically be an over season for Hampton because okay, you got the doubles in front of you. Are they favored against Grambling?
Yes, it'll be about a 3.5 point line, 3 line.
All right,
interesting.
I'll be taking Grambling in that one. Norfolk.
They are favored by about that'll be by a touchdown.
I could see that one. I could see you being favored. What about Howard? They should be favored against Howard.
Actually, they're an underdog against Howard by that'll almost be a pick'em game by at least 1.5 right now.
Yeah,
I think Howard beats them.
I really do too. I really do not see them beat the HBCU.
Oof.
And that includes A&T in conference. I do not see them beating an HBCU this year. And if they don't beat the HBCU, I don't see a win anywhere else on their schedule.
That's a good point. Yeah, they're about a touchdown underdog against A&T as well.
It could be a long fall in roads in the Hampton Roads area.
Okay, well, Jamie, what are your thoughts? You saw? Didn't you guys play Hampton last year?
No. Wasn't last year. I think it was the year before.
Yeah, Mike. See, this is why I might be favoring. They've never lost to Grambling. But I mean, how long is that though? It's not like they've. I mean, look, what's the series history though? I mean, we're talking 5 games that were played in the 70s and 80s. I mean, are we really, are we counting that?
I can't see the chat, but clearly, who's arguing with yard talk? Because I already know she talking trash. No, she already talking about Grambling about 40.
Actually, she hasn't chimed in on this one.
She hasn't. No. Wait till we get to Grambling's win total, though. You might have some thoughts about that. I'm going under. Drew, you convinced me. I'm going under 3.5. I don't know if they're gonna go winless, but I'm gonna take under 3.5 because I'm saying if they get at least 2 HBCUs,
they still won't get to 3.5.
Then they still won't get to 3.5. So I'm gonna be good. So yeah. What are you going, Jamie? Under or over?
Yeah, I'm gonna go under.
Okay, clean sweep on the under. All right. Let me see here. Any? Oh yeah, there we go. Grambling by 20. There you go, Ricky Burton. There you go. Grambling by 20. Sure. Interesting. Okay, let's do this. Let's take a quick break. Come back, and now we get into the SWAC. The SWAC totals. This is what's going to set the world on fire right here. This is where people's going to lose their minds when they see these.
We're going to break the internet on this one.
That's the goal. That's the goal. All right, hang tight. We'll be right back. Over under win totals for the season for your SWAC schools coming up right after break. You're watching the BCSN SportsWrap right here on the Black College Sports Network.
Time to call a credit repair company to fix my credit.
Hold the phone, man. You can do it yourself with Credit Versio.
That's way too hard. Call the credit repair company. Most credit repair companies only work on 1 or 2 accounts at a time, making it slow and expensive. You won't figure that out for months. Ignore him. Credit Versio's brilliant software scans all 3 credit bureaus, finds the accounts that are hurting your score, and guides you through the entire process. Anyone can do it. Let's fast forward and see the results. Wow, I fixed my own credit and saved hundreds. You can do this. Visit creditversio.com.
T. Madden and Associates is a sophisticated and experienced law firm located in your neighborhood. We're turning injury to cash.
T. Madden and Associates obtained almost $2 million for my injury. They turned my injury to cash.
Now, we can't guarantee how much your injury is worth, but we've recovered millions for our clients.
Call T. Madden and Associates at 833-PAID-123. That's 833-PAID-123.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentjax.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Bryan, AD, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Okay, welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Bryan Fulford, AD Drew, Jamie Walker. Good to be here with you guys. Glad you guys are chiming in enjoying the content here. Appreciate everybody in the chat room. Hit those thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up button if you would. If you haven't already, just take a quick little second, divert your mouse over there and hit that thumbs up button. Even on Facebook, hit the likes up if you're watching us on Facebook. We appreciate you as well. So we just went through the over-under totals for the MEAC and the non-SWAC and MEAC conferences. Just real quick, guys, any total that surprised you? Any total put out there that surprised you?
Of the ones we've done thus far?
Yeah.
I think Morgan State was the one that kind of shocked me out of all the ones that we discussed.
3.5.
Yeah, thus
Yeah.
far. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right. So we're gonna be a little quicker here, guys. So I'm gonna do my best here. All right, let's start over in the. You want to start in the? I got the East all queued up, so I'm gonna start in the East because I know that's where it's gonna be the most fun. So you guys are gonna trip out on this. Okay, let's start with Jackson State. Now the reason I'm starting with Jackson State is because Jackson State is predicted by Massey to be the top team in the SWAC, to be the top team in HBCU football. That's the predicted rank. They are the predicted ranked top dog, according to Massey. Last year, 12-1. Massey actually predicts a 10-win season for Jackson State.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think a lot of these numbers are based on your production from a year ago. Okay, I'm not buying it, but I'm putting it at the highest win total possible. Now, remember, I had North Carolina Central at 8.5 wins, right? I'm going to set the line for Jackson State at 8.5 wins as well. Over or under 8.5 wins for Jackson State. Jamie?
Wow. I'm going to go under, but I still think they win the conference.
Wait. Win the conference or win the division? You're going conference?
I am saying it now. No. The division.
I wanted to give you an out there. So that's cool. Okay. All right. 8.5. Drew, you went under.
I mean, two 12-win seasons. Back where 11 and a 12-win season. It's hard to stay at the top. So first of all, this will be a down year for Jackson State, relatively speaking, everybody. I mean, make sure I emphasize that. Relatively speaking, off the success that you guys have had over the last 2 years. Let me tell you something, Jackson State. You will lose a SWAC game this year. It will happen. I honestly think it's going to be game 1 because I think it's going to be the Florida A&M University. But Jackson State, 10, nah. Definitely. I definitely, just like I'm running to the bank on that Morgan, what was that line at 2? I'm running to the bank on this Jackson State at 10 and taking the under.
I'm going under. I mean, there's no way. Let's again. I've said what I said, but let me ask you guys a serious question here, and this is for people in the chat room. Yeah, and I'm gonna give you real quick. Okay, okay. Braden, wow, 10-1. You know what? If that happens, hey, go to the bank, buddy. Go to the bank. I don't see it happening though. First 4 games out the box for Jackson State: South Carolina State, Florida A&M, at Southern, at Texas State. What is Jackson State's record after on November 17th September 17th after those 4 games? Jamie Walker, what is their record?
Their record is 3-1.
Woo. What is their record?
After the first 4?
Yeah.
I'm going Apple 1-3.
I am too. I'm saying 1-3. Chris Duke says 4-0.
Chris lost his red loving mind.
I'm thinking more like that. 3-1. There's 3-1. Dick Riley 3-1. Yeah, I'm more interesting. 0-4. Carry, yeah. Good. Yeah, I'm more 1-3. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, that first four, man. That four, Lawrence says 2-2. You know, hey, Lawrence, if they can go 2-2, that is a win for Jackson State, in my opinion.
But let's keep something in mind, Brian. Only one game actually matters of those first four, and that's the Florida A&M game.
Well,
I got
what you're saying.
That's the only conference game of that first four. So Jackson State could go 1-3 as long as it's the right one for them. If they go 1-3 and then one is against Florida A&M, they still have a chance to have a very successful season. And I hate to say that, but it's a fact.
Yeah. All right. Good point. Okay. So the second highest rated team, actually, they aren't even the second rated. You know who the second highest rated team is according to Massey? And this kind of goes counter to the win total. North Carolina A&T is actually rated as the second highest HBCU according to Massey. Does that shock you, Jamie?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. But in their conference rated 13th of 15 in their conference. But again, ranked, second highest among
That says something about their conference.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're getting a lot of credit for being in that conference. Anyway, so Florida A&M is actually ranked third according to Massey, second highest in the SWAC. I think we all know the expectations or the thoughts for FAMU. If Jackson State, I set Jackson at 8.5 wins. I got to set Florida A&M at 8.5. I think it's only, and again, Central was 8.5. You either believe in the fact that, of course, FAMU does have a FBS opponent in South Florida, and so you're either buying into them beating Jackson State, possibly beating Southern, or you're not. Jamie?
Under. I'm looking at the schedule. Gonna say under 8.5. I just think the SWAC is gonna be brutal this year. I think AD predicted chaos and mayhem last year, and it didn't pan out that way. I think
Not the East it did
last year. I think it'll be like that this year.
I failed to mention. Of course, last year's record was 9-2. Massey predicts a 7-4 record for FAMU this year. A 7-4
I'm looking at the schedule.
I'm too like in shock to tell you who those wins and losses are against. But you can probably figure them out. Yeah. So I just felt like, hey, 9 wins from a year ago. Massey says 7. I think the expectations are high. 8.5. Drew, what did you go?
First of all, I'm going to start off with this. I think the home winning streak extends through this season. I think they have a very good chance of winning all 4 of their home games: West Florida, Alabama State, Prairie View, and Lincoln of California. 2 neutral site games: Jackson State and Bethune. Of course, you know where my heart is with that Jackson State game. I think the interesting games are going to be. FAMU has a pretty tough road schedule, in my opinion. Obviously, you go into South Florida. It's a winnable game, but the stars have to align for FAMU to beat South Florida. I'm not counting that one in the win total. I'm giving Southern the victory over FAMU on the bluff.
Yeah.
So FAMU give out the one that scared, the 2 that scared me though, even more than that, because like I said, I'm giving them the Southern game, or Texas Southern and Alabama A&M. Those two games kind of scare me. Alabama A&M more than Texas Southern because they're playing Texas Southern coming off of a bye. So it concerns me. It doesn't scare me. The Alabama A&M game actually scares me. Post homecoming hangover. You've got a cupcake the following week in Lincoln of California. That's a classic trap game. The Alabama A&M game in Huntsville.
Okay. Good
But
analysis.
Going back to the whole thing, I do have confidence in Willie Simmons. I'm taking the over.
I am too. I'm taking the over. This is the year FAMU gets win number 10. So there it is. All right. Next up, Alabama State. Last year finished 6-5. Massey predicts a similar 6-5 season for Alabama State. So, given a little room for a trip up, I said put it at 5.5. That way you either think Alabama State's going to do what they did last year or you think they're going to stumble. They open the season against Southern.
Non-conference game.
Yeah. They have 2 SIC opponents. They play Miles, and then they end the season against Tuskegee. They have a neutral site game against, of course, you have the Magic City, which they are a favorite. Grambling State is kind of interesting. That's a game that's about a pick 'em. So I don't know. What do you guys say? Over, under? Alabama State 5.5 wins.
I'm gonna say over.
Jamie goes over. Drew, you go over as well. Looking here in the chats here, see what people. Nick Riley says his sleeper is out. Interesting.
That's my sleeper team also.
Yeah,
I actually have Alabama State finishing second in the East, ahead of Jackson State.
Repeat season here. There's a lot of people going over 6-5. A lot of overs here. A lot of people really bullish on Alabama State. So okay, so let's go to the next Alabama school. If you guys are bullish on Alabama State, then let's go over to Alabama A&M, and I also set the line for them at 5.5. Now, they were 4-7 a year ago, predicted to go 6-5 this year. I couldn't see much. Well, we know it was a down year for Connell Maynor. You think they're going to improve it, but to how much improvement? Will the Magic City Classic game be the determining factor in who finishes over or under 5.5 wins between Alabama State and Alabama A&M? Jamie, what do you got?
I think it will, and I think the hottest of hot seats would be will take place for Connell Maynor if he loses that game. I think this is a big year for him in general. But I'm going to go. Wow, I'm gonna say under.
Drew goes under as well. Drew, are you on that spreadsheet? Can you put the if you're on it, and if you can add the results, that'd be real helpful in this thing. Ricky Burton says 5-6. Braden, you can't go even. See, that's why I set it at 5.5. So either you think are you gonna go over, which is 6 wins, or you think they're gonna go under, which is 5 wins. Can't split the middle. If I set it at 5, I think everyone would jump on 5. But who wants a push? Who wants a push? Nobody wants a push. This is interesting. You're 7-4, huh? Okay, that's so you're going Alabama A&M over, huh? Okay.
What did you have for Alabama State, Jamie?
What for over?
Alabama State over.
Over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
Great question. Anyone who is the QB at A&M? Is it still it's going to be the quarterback they had last year? I think. what's the kid's name? He was actually pretty good, I thought. Can't think of his name.
Still got England in the backfield.
Yeah.
I think they have an offense. I think it's just a matter of the East being just that tough. And if you ask me if I'm taking Alabama State's defense over their offense, I would right now. I think if Alabama State has any kind of just consistent offense, I think that defense rises to the occasion. So I think they have a little bit over, which kind of puts me, if you're talking about just those two teams, I think there's your third and fourth team right there in the East.
Okay. Let's go over to Bethune-Cookman. Last year, 2-9. This year predicted to also finish 2-9. Obviously, they have a new coach, Raymond Woody, and I don't think too many people know about what else is in the cupboard for Bethune-Cookman. And so with that said, we'll put the line at 2.5. Either they have another 2-win season or will Coach Woody win a couple games. They have Savannah State at home, a Division II opponent. They traveled to Memphis. They traveled to the University of Miami in South Florida. They traveled to Jackson State. They traveled to Alabama State. They're playing Southern on a neutral site. They traveled to Grambling. I mean, those are some tough road games, man, for Bethune. I'm going under. Me personally, I'm going under. I'll give them 2. I'll be that. I'll be that guy. What are you going, Jamie?
Oh man, I'll be with you. And in fact, you know I'm a Division II guy.
You think that Savannah State game that might not be an easy win, huh?
I don't think it is. I don't think it is an easy win.
Oh, Drew, did you just change your pick, Drew? You changed.
I sure did.
I
sure did.
He changed it.
I sure did.
You walked off of it, huh? Okay.
Yeah, because and it's going to be a toss-up between them and Valley at the end of the season.
Oh no, I think Valley takes the fifth spot. Takes the fifth spot this year.
Somebody put 1. Wow, way under. You can't go way under 2.5. Is like one win.
Winless. No, it's winless.
Well, here's somebody with some positivity. Okay, Ricky says they sneak a third win in there. Okay.
Is that third win against us, against FAMU?
You better not be. Not even trying to entertain that thought. Not even just looking through here. A lot of people picking the under. A lot of people. Not everybody. Okay. Picking the over, huh? All right. Savannah State, not to be ignored. Yeah, okay. Okay. All right. Everyone said everyone's recruiting dogs. Everybody's got dogs until a dog gets hit. And then a hit dog don't holler then. So everybody's got dogs. Okay, let's keep it moving here. Finish out. Look, if we're going to give Bethune-Cookman 2.5 wins, then Valley, who also had a 2-9 win season, 2-9 predicted finish. Yeah, Valley, 2.5 wins. Over or under 2.5 for Valley?
Are you really asking that question?
Where could the third win come from? Okay,
I'm pulling up the schedule now.
Let's look at it. Now, here's what's funny though. Against Bethune,
UAPB.
Bethune is a 6.5 point favorite right now over Bethune, which is interesting. They are only a field goal favorite over UAPB, so there's one. They're an underdog against a Delaware State team, or excuse me, Delta State.
Make sure you got that right. That's Delta State.
Correct.
Division II power with Delta State.
Yes, they're an underdog. So, look.
What about Central State?
They're actually a favorite. They're a favorite to beat Central State. I'm going over because I'm going to call this. It shouldn't be a shot, but if Valley beats Delta State, they're looking at 2-0. going into the Circle City Classic against North Carolina Central. And then that means all they got to do is win one more game. And like you said, they've got Bethune and UAPB. So it's very possible. Very possible. Let's see. Yeah. Karen, I like your optimism. Karen goes over. She's got 4 wins. Where's that 4th win at, Karen?
I need to see. I'm looking at
come on, Karen. Be honest. Where's that 4th one? Let's see.
I'm just gonna throw this. I'm just gonna throw this out, Ryan. You know, last time FAMU went to Itabena, you know, it took a 4th quarter miracle for FAMU to come back and beat Valley in Itabena. And Valley is just tough on that painted grass in Itabena. On the painted dirt.
Stop it.
So,
the painted dirt of Itabena.
You remember the game when I called you?
Oh, yes. No, it was painted. It was something wrong with the camera.
I was like, bro, either Valley got turf or they painted that field.
The greenest green we've ever seen. I applaud him for doing it, though.
It looked like turf.
I applaud him, though. But I'm going over for Valley.
I am not changing that one.
All right, you keep that. Now, Jamie, what did you say? What you were going?
No, I'm going under.
He said under.
Under. Okay, so all right, here we go. Let's move over to the West now. The West side. These are interesting here. Southern, like 7-5 a year ago. Predicted to finish 9-2. Yeah, I said it. Southern's predicted to finish 9-2. So I think it only is fitting that we give Southern the same respect that we put Jackson State, FAMU, and North Carolina Central with the 8.5 win total. Southern.
Under.
Jamie.
Under.
Under.
Yeah,
Jamie goes under. Okay. Drew, where are you going?
I've got Southern losing the bookends of the season. I've got them losing to Alabama State and to Grambling in the Bayou. So that's 2 right there. And just
a lot of people picking under. A lot of people saying under.
The reason why you have to be careful with Southern, they have a hell of a favorable home schedule. Jackson State, Alabama A&M, FAM. They got the gimme game with Lincoln, California, Texas Southern, Alcorn, and Prairie View all at home. So I know what I'll put on the sheet, but I mean, the only true road game they have is UAPB outside of the Alabama State, which I've already chalked that one up. And that's how I'm looking at the schedule roll. They got Bethune in Jacksonville. So, but I think that's gonna be the game that actually knocks them that half under is where they have to go to Jacksonville and play Bethune. I think Bethune will sneak and get that game.
Ooh, really? Okay. All right. So they open at Alabama State. They've got the Jackson State game. I'm telling you, they're an underdog, but I'll be taking.
I've got to beat Jackson at home.
I do too. I'll be if Southern is a home dog, I'm taking that. I'm telling you now. I'm looking for that, and I'm hoping they're an underdog at home. But I think after Jackson's first 2 games, I think the line will switch, and I think it'll be closer to a pick'em by that time.
And one other thing, Brian, 10 of the 11 games that Southern play are against SWAC opponents.
Say that again. 10 of
the 11 games that they play are against SWAC opponents.
Oh yeah, they did that.
Yeah.
They did that schedule, and Lincoln is the only other. Is that non?
And that's homecoming.
You know what? I'm 8.5. I got to go under because I think Southern's peak is 8 wins.
Yeah, I think I have them as 8 wins. If it was 7.5, I'm taking the over. 8.5, I think I'm taking the under because I think
that's. 8. Yeah, I think that's just one of those games where you're looking at them and saying, if the line were lower at 7.5, you'd probably take the over. I agree with you 100% there. All right, let's move over to Prairie View. Matter of fact, Southern was predicted to finish first in the conference, right? Preseason at the media day. Okay, so Prairie View. I don't recall it. Prairie View. They finished 6-5 last year, second in the conference in the West Division. Excuse me. Massey predicts them to again finish 6-5. We're gonna set the number at 6.5 wins this year for Prairie View. 6.5 wins. 6.5 wins. Over or under 6.5. Drew, you got the over. I see. Jamie, what you? Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say the only thing, the game that will determine the over or under for this Prairie View team will be the opening game. Will be the Labor Day Classic. I think that will be the swing game.
I think that will go. I think that will go a long way, not only for the over/under for Prairie View and Texas Southern, but I think it'll also be important in November as to who wins the West as well. So I'm with you on that. Jamie, what do you say here? Over/under 6.5.
I'm gonna go under. Yeah, gonna go under.
Yeah, I'm going under. I'm going under as well. Not that bullish on Prairie View this year. I'm going under. All right, let's move over to a team that I am bullish on. That's Alcorn State. Alcorn a year ago, 5-6. This year, Massey predicts them to go 7-4. That's perfect. Nice little split. A lot of people at Media Day were really geeked up on Alcorn. We set the line at 6.5 as well. So 6.5. What do you think, Jamie? Over under 6.5?
Oh yeah, over. That's my winner of the West.
Okay.
Yeah.
Drew, you've got the over for Alcorn, yes?
Yes, I've got the over. Maybe off to a rough start. People may start panicking early, but I don't think they should. They should, Southern Miss, possibly Stephen F. They may lose those 2 games, but after that, I think they can run the table.
Yeah, I'm going over as well. I think I feel like I probably could have set this higher, maybe Alcorn at like 7.5, and I'd still probably take the over because I think this is a potentially an 8-win Alcorn State team. A lot of people taking the over. Yeah, so in the sports book world, we would push this number all the way up, Jamie. We might need to move the line to 7.5 for Alcorn. A lot of people are bullish on. They're like, oh, that's it, 6.5. Yeah, I'll take the over. Yeah,
exactly.
So, okay, let's go over to the G-men. Oh, no. Let's before we get to the G-men, let's go to Texas Southern because they're next up. They also finished 5-6 along with Alcorn last year. Just missed out. Man, that game at the end of the year. Who knows? Texas Southern might have ended up in the SWAC championship game. Unfortunately, though, the predictions don't seem to be as high on another repeat season for Texas Southern. Predicted to finish 4-7. So I'm going to put the line at 5.5 and say, is this a winning season for Texas Southern? Or does 5-6 again or worse feel like a step going in the wrong direction? I think that's what you got to think about. Texas Southern. And looking at their schedule, of course, that Labor Day class against Prairie View, but then they follow up with games at Toledo and at Rice. And they also travel to Grambling State. And then they host Lincoln from California. I mean, you'd hate to think Texas Southern might be 1-4, but it's possible. Jamie, who do you got?
I'm going to say under. I think they are a talented bunch. but I think everyone in that division has gotten better, including the one team that I think finishes second or third. That's a surprise. I think it would have been easier to pick Texas Southern to finish within those ranks, but I think they may fall back a little bit. So yeah, I'm going to say under.
Drew, what do you got? I can't hear Drew. You're on mute.
I told you what that swing game was, with that game being the Labor Day Classic.
Yep.
And I have Texas Southern at 5 wins. That Labor Day Classic would be the game that will push them to the over. But I have Prairie View winning it, which is why I have Prairie View with the over and Texas Southern with the under for the season. Just that simple.
I just did a recheck. I'm right there with you at 5. I mean, because the game. Okay, so the games that Texas Southern has to win, in my opinion, in order to go over. Well, it's potentially Toledo or Rice, Florida A&M, at Southern, at Jackson State versus Alcorn. That 4-game stretch.
UAPB. Yeah, you got UAPB.
No. I said the games that they have to win in order to go over.
Okay.
The games. I'm looking at that 4-game stretch there in October to early November. FAMU, Southern, Jackson State, Alcorn. 4 games in a row. I mean, so again, what I just told you, if they lose the Labor Day Classic and go into the Grambling game 0-3, the rest of the season, hell, that stretch of 4 games, I don't know where you're going to get over 5 wins. So I'm going to go under. I hate to do it, but I'm going to go under.
Yeah. Although, Bryan, I will say I've got to beat Alcorn at the end of the season. With Alcorn looking ahead, Alcorn with the trap game between Southern and Jackson State, having Texas Southern classic trap game.
Alcorn, why would Alcorn be looking ahead? Oh, because they got the Jackson State game.
They got the Jackson State game the following week. Classic trap game.
Yeah, but I think but Alcorn, I don't. Okay.
That's my prediction. Just my schedule breakdown.
I hear what you're saying. Okay. Let's go over to Grambling. I know the eyes are real curious. Folks want to know, what do we think about Grambling? Well, here's Grambling. Grambling last year finished 3-8. Now, this is the interesting thing about Grambling. Grambling, by Massey ratings, could either go 6-5 or 3-8, because they've got about 3 games which are like pick'ems. So I thought I'd set the line for Grambling at 4.5, and it's a matter of whether you believe is a 5-win Grambling season with 2-win improvement. That's going in the right direction, right? But they could very well finish again with 3 wins. I don't know. So again, the line is 4.5. Let's see what everyone thinks. Drew, started off with you.
Oh, I've got them with the over. I've actually got Grambling with 6 this year.
6,
Hampton,
okay.
Florida Memorial, Texas Southern, Alabama A&M, Bethune, and Southern.
Yeah, it does help that they have 2 Division II, sub-level Division II teams on that schedule. What?
2?
No, I was looking at the
No, they've only got 1.
No?
Yeah, they've only got.
I thought you said they had Florida Memorial. Who really got on there?
Florida Memorial is only non-D1 that they have. They've got LSU as a FBS.
Oh,
team.
okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, my mistake. Okay.
Yeah, but they do have a favorable home schedule. So, with Bethune, Alabama A&M, and Texas Southern at home, I'm giving them all of those at home. Along with Florida Memorial.
I'm going. Oh, Jamie, I'm sorry. Did I skip you, Jamie, or did you already go?
No, I didn't go yet. But okay. Over. Yeah, I'm picking them over because I think That's my dark horse to finish second or third.
Ooh,
to be totally honest with you, in the West. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, I got Grambling going over. I think they can get 5. I think 5 is a positive, direction. It'll prove some positive that they're going the right direction. Last but not least, UAPB 2.5. Let's see. Last year they were 3-8. Massey predicts them to go 1-10 this year. The line is 2.5. I don't think we'll know too much about UAPB until maybe the Tennessee State game. If they lose to Miles in week 3, it's all out the window. Nobody will have any confidence in UAPB to pick up wins after that game. So where does UAPB get 3 wins from? Jamie, what do you got? Over or under?
I'm going to say under because I don't know where those wins come from either.
Yeah. Drew, where do you got?
I got them over. Giving them the miles. I can see them beating Valley. And UAPB, I mean, they are going to mess up somebody's season at the end of the year between Prairie View, Grambling, and Texas Southern. They will steal one of those games. The most likely of the 3 being the Grambling game that they've got in Pine Bluff. But I just think UAPB is going to steal the game at the end of the season.
Yeah, I can't see him going winless. I don't
why.
Under a rock.
You say you don't know why.
I don't know. But I'll take the under 2 wins. I'll go 2 wins. Maybe they'll steal a third. They might steal a fourth out there. Who knows? Anything's possible out there. All right. Well, that does it for today's edition of Over and Under. And we appreciate all of your guys' interaction here. We'll post those. We'll publicize them and put them out there, and kind of put them, give you a chance to kind of react to. There's a lot of good reactions. So thank you to everybody for your participation in the chats. As always, it's always much appreciated. Jamie, let's kind of give some final thoughts here, and let's get ready to get out of here. What are your final thoughts for tonight?
Man, the show, great. Erica, Rochelle, thank you for coming on. And listen, the MEAC is still battling, man. MEAC is still there and still present. So give them their props. That's all I got to say.
Okay. Drew, what do you got?
Just looking forward to another spectacular football season. This upcoming season. I think the BAC and the SWAC are going to be interesting. I think there's going to be a lot of parity in both of the conferences this year. So, and then maybe next week we'll start talking about the Division II conferences, the SIAC and the CIAA. Speaking of the SIAC, coming up real soon, SIAC Gridiron.
Is that the official name? That's the official name?
That's the official name. I think Jamie has the contract in his email, just trying to see if he's going to sign the contract and be the 4th, or is he going to be like the writers and go stay on strike?
Oh, well, let me review it. Let me have my people look over it, and we'll go from there.
Let's have the attorneys get together and work out all of the fine print, man.
Sounds like a plan.
SIAC Gridiron. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sly Williams would be on there, and Kendrick Hook, better known as D2 HBCU football guy. So if we add Jamie, it's gonna be a lot of show. We're gonna have a lot of fun on that, man.
Hey, looking forward to that. That's going to come up on Monday nights right here on the Black College Sports Network. So we're trying to fill up your week with some good content. So make sure to check that out. Again, I want to take a second and thank Erica, Rochelle for coming on, HBCU Nightly, of course, and the also another podcast that'll be coming, X's and O's, that'll be starting up this year. But again, the South by Southwest panel here, go to this link here, panelpicker.sxsw.com/vote/136215, or you can find not only Erica, or you can find, I know myself, I've retweeted it, but this is a very important opportunity for HBCUs to be in a space that HBCU Sports, let me be specific, for HBCU Sports to be in a space that we normally aren't in. So their panel is called the Modern HBCU Sports Model. And so this is a great thing that Erica has put together along with Joshua Sims. And I know we'll be talking about it, publicizing it more this week. You can catch her every Wednesday night with HBCU Nightly. I believe it's 9 Eastern on Twitter Spaces. What I call a radio show on Twitter. That's sort of my way of describing it. So, but if you get a chance, go make sure you vote, follow Erica, send her a tweet or something and let her know you appreciate her for coming on. And that'll do it. Thank everybody for being a part of the show. Glad you guys enjoyed it's interesting. Kind of take notes. You guys who were going through the over and unders, write your own notes down, right? Keep track, and let's see how many we get right and how many are way off when the season goes. You know, we'll do a recap sometime later in the year, and we'll kind of do that. Just want to remind you guys, you can now be a part of the JBN family by joining our membership. 3 different levels there. Just go to MyJBN online/join off of youtube.com and go join. We're going to be dropping some exclusive content there, post-game shows, reaction shows, other things that we're creating, coming up with merchandise, discounts, and stuff like that. So I want to encourage everybody and thank you for continuing to support Jericho Broadcast Networks and the Black College Sports Network. So that's going to do it for this show. Thanks for hanging in with us tonight. For Jamie Walker, who came in and joined me for the first hour and a half of us doing this, and then for AD Drew for finding time after his busy night to come in and join us. And, of course, to Erica Rochelle for joining us earlier. Great conversation with her. And thank all of you. And that's going to do it. Guys, be safe. Take care of yourself in the heat. Hydrate. Stay cool. If you see somebody struggling with the heat, take care of them as best as you can, okay? We got to look out for each other out here, and hopefully it eventually get cooler, and we'll kind of get back to living our normal lives. So we are 2 weeks away from football season. In 2 weeks, we'll actually be talking about a game that was played, Jamie. Can you feel that? Can you smell the grass in the air?
Have the pellets from the turf gotten in your shoes?
It's close. It's close. Yes. All right. Thank you, everybody. Good night. Be safe. We're gone. Peace out.
Travel light. We'll holler.
But stay on hard.